What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. I first want to shout out all of the new subscribers that have been coming to the channel. Welcome. I really don't know where to begin on this, you guys, and I really just need the help of the universe. I'm trusting the universe on this because I've never done a dedicated piece to this topic, but you've heard me say at different times, I'm someone who has food fear. I always had a problem with just not eating, since I was born. In fact, most of the time my grandmother had to get the switch at me because I wasn't eating. And then also as a Muslim, I'm used to fasting on Mondays and Thursdays, and then of course every year when the holy month of Ramadan rolls around, we fast during the entire month. I'm also someone that can eat the same thing every day for the rest of my life and be unbothered because I just don't have a relationship with food. For me, it's about, okay, I have to eat something, and even that, it's like a chore, I'm just not really into food. I mean, I have stuff that I really like and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't even matter. It just, like, that doesn't impact it at all. Like, I don't eat what the average person eats, and over the last many years, I've developed food fear. Like, I haven't eaten at McDonald's in many years. I don't do fast food. If my nephew is visiting, whenever he comes out to visit, I kind of go ahead, but even he would tell you it takes me like hours to figure out where to go because I'm trying to minimize the risk, and it's a whole thing with me. But I did a video last month, this one, titled "Warning: Stop eating pork, or stop eating deadly pork. They won't tell you this. Your life is in danger." Now, that's absolutely factual. And if you've not watched that video, you need to go and watch it. I will link it in the description box down below. Sadly, only 550 people have watched the video. Like, I don't care who I am. If I see that, I'm clicking on it because your life is in danger. I want to know, and it's me. So it's your brother telling you. It's not a news clip. It's me, and I certainly am not going to. My whole purpose for bringing that is because I care what happens to you. So if you don't give a shit about your own health, that's your own ass, and you deserve to die. You understand? So I'm bringing this now because I've never done a dedicated piece on this Monsanto. And everybody, especially in this country, needs to know about this because this is very diabolical, everybody. There is nothing, almost nothing, that you can eat in this country. Hear this now. There's almost nothing that you can eat in this country that is not Frankenstein food. What do I mean by that? That means that it's artificial food. A tomato is not really a tomato anymore. A banana is not really a banana. Collard greens ain't really collard greens. You understand what I'm saying? Even your Cheerios don't taste the way they used to. The milk is bullshit. I mean, and I'm going to be bringing you a comprehensive list of all the shit, and you will be astonished. And you probably will develop food fear. I'll just tell you that now. If you give a damn. You understand? You need to know that every other industrialized nation has outlawed this shit. It's not allowed. Yet another reason why I need to get out this bitch and move to Africa, where I can have real food. You understand? Who is it? The Radical Home Goddess, years back. And I presume she's still on it. I don't get a chance to get to her channel. But I know that her whole life consumption is about Fukushima. It was through her prompting, really, years ago, that I did a major piece on Fukushima, which is a nuclear reactor disaster in Fukushima, Japan. The water, it has leaked into the ocean. I mean, it's running into the ocean even now as I speak to you. And at that time in that video, I was admonishing my people, you need to stop eating all seafood. Give a damn. If you want seafood, fly your ass to another fucking country and have you some damn seafood. You don't need no tuna. You don't need no sardines. You're not buying no fish. You don't need no damn catfish. You don't need no tilapia. You need shit. Crabs, anything. It's out. Because America is the most diabolical place you could fucking live. Do you understand me? I've always told you this is the asshole of the devil, the seat, the throne of Satan is right here. While they put their propaganda, oh, it's the best place to live and American exceptionalism and all that bullshit. No, nothing could be further from the truth. They don't give a damn about you. And just this piece that I'm doing will prove that. You understand? They don't give a damn. Human life is nothing to them. You understand? They will step over their dead mother's carcass for a coin. You understand? And let us be clear who the perpetrators are now. We're not going to use these innocuous terms like they and the government and America. No, white people. The same people that came to this land and murdered off over 130 million fucking natives that were here. Same people. The same people that dropped 2 atomic bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, Japan. Never been done by any other group of people ever in the history of civilization. That was done by white people. Do you understand? The same people that delivered AIDS and Ebola to the African population across the earth, especially to Africa. The same people. We're not going to use these innocuous words. We're not doing that. We're not. You understand? Because right now, if a terrorist attack or some bullshit happens that they orchestrate, they immediately say it was a radical Islamic terror. They don't say there's people that are terrorists, there's people that are doing, and these innocuous, no. They say they identify. And they're happy to do that every time it's not their ass. You understand? And even in those cases, it's their ass. You understand? Because I'm not going to get into that. But I could do an hour on that, and I've talked about that. But I want to stay on this. I just want to say that we're not using innocuous words here. We're not doing that. You understand? I'm from the south side of Chicago. I come from a family of 9 fucking kids. If somebody farts, you point them out and say, you farted. Not someone, or we wish we knew, or people should not be farting. No, your ass farted. You. And you highlight and point out that person. You see? Part of the problem in this nation that is run by white people is that they love to use these ghostly words that never identify the perpetrator. That's why so many of us are walking around, we don't know who the fucking enemy is. You understand? And this is more evidence of that. You understand? This is not being done by Latinos. This is not being done by Asians. It's not being done by Arabs. It's not being done by Native Indians. It's not being done by, definitely being done by black people. You go down every single culture on the earth, the only people perpetrating mass evil upon humanity is white people. So in this video, when I use the word America, I mean white people. Because it's their government, their society, their rules, their actions. We need to be very clear about that. We need to be very clear. You understand? Because if they say, well, there's a meat recall. We found out there's E. coli in meat in America. What's the first thing you'll ask? What meat is it? Huh? That's the first thing you're going to ask. Well, what meat is it? Because you need to be on alert of what meat now you're going to be sketchy to eat it. So we have to identify the perpetrators. We can't just treat this story as if it's just it's a story and this is happening. No. Who the fuck is doing it? Who? Damn it. Now, in every industrialized, civilized nation on the damn earth, you can know what is in your damn food. You understand? And they're not allowing in these murderers with their chemicals. And then in my own personal experience, when I've talked to people in real life about this, I've had zombie-minded motherfuckers say to me, well, they have to do that because there's not enough food to feed everybody. Listen, the creator of the heavens and the earth is perfection. The very definition of perfection is the divine. He has made this earth plentiful for everybody. I don't care how many of us are going to be fucking born. There's enough food here to feed everybody on the planet until their guts bust. So put down that propaganda and fantasy. Throw that out. Throw that out. You understand? It's always present a problem and then already ready for a resolution with you. Get you hyped up on it's some artificial problem, but we can solve it because we're already ready with the answer. You see? It's like I sabotage all the water supply in a city. And I make sure that I have a fleet of water trucks. I go in and I set the whole bitch on fire. And I go, damn it, there's a fire. And I'm alerting everybody like I'm the concerned citizen. Just so happens I've got this fleet of water trucks. I can help you guys out for a price. How many of you are up late at night? And the infomercial starts out, are you tired of your back hurting? Are you tired of those times when you can't rest and you can't this? Well, now the such and such for just $19.99 plus shipping. Like we give you this whole setup of a problem and boom, we got an answer for you. This is the most diabolical place you can fucking live. You can't even drink a sip of water in this bitch. Follow me. Follow me. You understand? The problem with America as a whole, talking about the citizenry, is they are the dumbest people on the earth. That's shown by statistics and everything. That's not just the Jedi making the proclamation. The dumbest. You understand? Very easy to pull things over. And the major thing is that Americans sit back and bitch about things. They never storm nobody's house. They don't storm their capitals. They don't storm the fucking White House. They don't storm shit. We hold up signs and chant. And we tweet. While they're murdering your ass off. Listen. I always have known instinctively. From a young age, certainly when I began to see breast cancer this, breast cancer that, breast cancer, breast cancer, I just thought, well, this wasn't going on. My grandmama was coming on. Like I always gauge everything against her. Well, it wasn't happening when they was coming on. This is some bullshit. I just knew it instinctively. I didn't do any research. I didn't have anything to study. I didn't do anything. I just knew. I just know. Something's not right about this. When I began to notice that teenagers are wearing a larger size shoe than me once I became a grown-ass man, I said, this is a problem. They got facial hair earlier than anybody I knew, including my damn self. I was 19. I had just a little bit of just microscopic peach fuzz. Just, you need to get out the microscope. But my sisters would take that, whatever y'all use for y'all lashes, they dip it in the little thing, and what the fuck they do. Anyways, and they go gently over my mustache to darken, so it will darken up the little peach fuzz that I had. And that's how I could get in a place I wasn't supposed to be in. But my point is that now I literally, like, I know teenagers, 15, that's shaving. I'm over it. When I look at young girls, they got breasts and they full grown women, like, at 15. Like, what are you doing? We supposed to still be making fun of your mosquito bites. Nah. But then also, I have said this to you also, that our sisters, I've been deeply concerned because our sisters are, they coming with this big boned bullshit. I reject that completely. I reject that. Because if we shave all the meat off them bones, that's not what we're going to see still standing there as a huge mass. But that's language they've been given. Oh, I'm just big boned. No, you're fat. And there's a problem. You understand? Like, we press to find just that chiseled sister that's just regular body type. She's out there. We see her. But she's outnumbered by that big sister that's got way too much titties and way too much ass. It's too much. And that affects them economically because they got to pay more for the larger sizes. I owned a retail store. It was hell bartering with damn suppliers. And I'm trying to cater to a black demographic. So I gotta try and wear they ass down so I can get a price that's decent, so I can present a decent price to the sisters that come in my damn store. It's hell. Everybody's big. Just big. But I knew instinctively there's something else. When I look at autism, well, there was no such thing as autism even when I was a kid. It wasn't no such thing. It just wasn't. Now, it's whole organizations for autism. You see? Also, I didn't have to have 50,000 shots to go to school. There was no vaccinations. Now, me and my brothers and sisters, we did get the chicken pox. Was chicken pox or the measles? I'm gonna say chicken pox. We had chicken pox. Itching like shit. So you got something for that. But all this 50,000 shots that they claim kids gotta have now, outrageous. Directly tied to vaccines. They tell you they got to have these shots, and instead of you standing your ground as a sovereign human being created by the divine and saying, fuck you, my child is not having that, you go along with it. That's a problem. That's a problem. And it's also child abuse. Because then now we're supposed to feel sorry for you when now that your child is autistic. I'm having trouble with that. I can feel sorry for the child, but not your ass. I feel deeply scarred for the child because now they don't get to just have a regular life, like just be a regular human being. You have saddled them with this by being seduced and, first of all, ignorant and not an independent thinker, weak in spirit, heart, and intention, and so therefore you take your child into the slaughtering room to be vaccinated. Shame on you. Many of our women are not breastfeeding our children. Shame on you. It's too inconvenient, or it's this or it's that. I'm over it. Any woman producing a child and not breastfeeding should be carted off to jail. Lucky I'm not president. Lucky I'm not president. So I know instinctively that a lot of this stuff was anomalies. Like, this can't be the case. But let's take it one step further. Back in 2010, I've shared with you guys, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. My father had it for 15 years. It took his life in 2009. And so, when I was diagnosed in 2010, I was horrified. But praise be to Allah, I was given a miracle. First, I got injured. I was in a wheelchair for a year. I couldn't deal with anything dealing with prostate cancer. That's a wrap. And when I began to be able to come up out of my wheelchair and begin to go to physical therapy, and I was to begin to start to walk and then I went back and I had a second biopsy, and they found exactly what I had been praying for and crying myself to sleep at night. They said exactly the words that I had said to God. I said to Allah, let there be nothing. I was making this prayer for a year. Let there be nothing. I would cry myself to sleep because now I'm disabled, I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm doing all this, and then I'm still worrying about that. I was just telling the Maker, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Take this from me. Let there be nothing. I just kept saying, let there be nothing. I didn't know I was going to be having another biopsy or anything. That was my prayer. And when the urologist called me that day, I had my biopsy, the second biopsy, on a Tuesday, February the 11th. And then that was a Tuesday, and then Thursday he called me. And he said, we found nothing. And he was astonished because he's not a young guy. And he was like, in all my years of urology, I've never seen this. I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I don't, because those other results were so firm. And I had other pathologists to look at it, etc., etc. And with this other one, he goes, I had 3 other pathologists look at it. We're certain about the results. We found absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But why I mention that is because when I was diagnosed, I shut myself in my house for 4 days in my underwear. I didn't shower. I didn't eat. I didn't take phone calls. I didn't open the blinds. I didn't do anything. I was studying. How the fuck am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with this? How? But in my study, one of the things that I came across was a convention of doctors, like several, I guess, at least, I don't know, I'm going to say a couple thousand or something. It was a convention of doctors And the one that was lecturing them in this facility or auditorium or whatever the fuck it was, at one point he put up a map. You know, he showed some video of a map of the Earth. He said, now everything that's in green, there's no such thing as prostate cancer. Everything that's in red, they have prostate cancer there. He said, but now, if you're in the green, and of course the United States was all fucking red because it's the asshole of the devil. So he goes, let's say if you're in the green, let's say in China, and you come to the United States, you're just as much at risk for prostate cancer as if you were born here. Now, that immediately translated to me, it's not fucking hereditary. It's atmospheric. You understand? It's in the atmosphere is not the word I wanted to use. It's in the excuse me. God damn it, atmospherics. That's all I got right now. That it's environmental. Allahu Akbar. That's the word I was looking for. It's environmental. All knowledge is with Allah. Subhanallah. La ilaha illallah. It was environmental. Because why? It's profits over people and they don't give a fuck about you. Period. Meanwhile, they will kill my Muslim brother, Muammar Gaddafi, in Libya and tell you what a horrible person he is. Well, let me give you a little rundown on my brother. First of all, if you look at Libya before Gaddafi, it was a disaster area. People were living in tents. You understand? Over the 30 years of his reign, he turned it into a metropolis. He is responsible for what you could call the eighth wonder of the damn world. Because he produced a man-made lake and they had an underground irrigation system like nothing you've ever seen on the earth. Brought water to Libya. You understand? Everybody was moved out of tents and into apartments. There's no such thing as rent. Why? Because it's an Islamic country. No such thing as rent. Huh? Oh, but Gaddafi's killing his people, everybody. Huh? Is that the guy that kills everybody that put you in a free apartment? Is that the guy? Oh, but wait, it goes further. He also pays all of your fucking utility. Is that the guy that kills his people? They don't pay no rent and no utility. They don't even know what a gas and light bill is. They've never heard of that. Like, they would look at you. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, and don't get married because then the government's going to give you $65,000 US. The equivalent of $65,000 US when you get married. And $7,000 for every child that you produce. Just to help you out. You need a car? They're going to pay 50% of your car. How about that? Huh? This is the person who's killing his people? My brother was beloved by his people. Do you understand? And oh, by the way, he publicly stated to his people, we have oil. Because there's 140 tribes that were all like, we're not having one leader, we're over it, and don't talk to us. And he was like, okay, I can either scare your ass to death or I can pay you off. So they chose, yeah, you could pay us. But he also promised them, I will give you a heavenly life on earth. And he kept his word. He kept his word and was able to unify Libya. Forget all these 140 tribes and all the bullshit. We're over that. Let us come together. And that's what he did. And then he publicly stated to his people, we have oil. And he shared the profits of their oil equally amongst his people. This is the person that they say was a dictator and wanted to kill and was killing his own people? No, this is the asshole of Satan that's killing its own people, that charges you rent, lights, gas, and fucking water in this bitch. You understand? Charge you to be born, charge you to die, charge you to live, charge you for every fucking thing. And charge you for water that falls from the heaven. And eventually when they figure out a way, they're gonna be charging your bitch ass for air. Watch what I'm telling you. And essentially that's already happened. Because I remember a time when you pulled up to the gas station and just on the little center island they had gas and water that came out the ground right there. You could fill up your tires or put water in your radiator, whatever you need to do. Now fucking air is $1.75 depending on where you go. It might be more. So they're going to be charging you for air that you can breathe pretty soon. You understand? This is the most diabolical fucking place you could live and the most dangerous place you could live from the standpoint of your health and your safety. Because they're pissing off everybody else around the world, and it's only a matter of time before karma strikes midnight and somebody really does come here and attack this bitch finally. Because ain't nobody attacked it up till now. Everything else has been a fucking false flag. From the Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam, to the fucking Pearl Harbor, to 9/11, all that shit is self-inflicted. Nobody has attacked their bitch ass. Yet. You understand? But this is the type of shit that should have people out in the streets. Like, fuck it, I'm not going to work. I don't need to. My life is more important than my check. Because a check ain't going to be no good if I'm not around to get it. Now, I'm beginning with this piece. Now that I've laid my foundation. I'm beginning with this piece because this will lead us into the rest of the stuff that I want to bring you. And it is highly significant for two reasons. A, because Monsanto is a multinational fucking chemical company. They got their hands on the nutsack of anybody you're ever going to fucking vote for. They make policy. They are the only company on planet Earth that hides their product from you, but is selling it to you. They don't want their name on it. They want to know anybody know it's them. Every company on Earth, I don't care if they're multinational, if you're just a small mom and pop, you want people to know your name and you got a business card. Not they bitch ass. They don't want nobody to know who they are. Everybody knows who they are now, but they don't want to put their name on their products, which is every fucking thing that you got in your kitchen right now. I promise you. And when we get to the point in this where we read off the list of shit, you're going to be astonished. We're going to be here for a minute, everybody. We're going to be here for as long as the information takes to relate to you. So get goddammit comfortable. Your life depends on it. Do you understand me? So they're impervious, you understand? And in some of the pieces I'm going to bring, you're going to see where, like, they literally they've put patents on the seeds of the earth, what Allah creates. They've put a patent on the seeds of the earth. Your bitch ass can't just start a tomato garden in your yard. You can, but the moment they find out about it, they will bring a huge lawsuit against your bitch ass and shut you down. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Because they will call it infringement. Because they own the fucking seeds. You're going to see in some of the pieces I'm going to bring you, like they own trees now. And by the way, if you're a farmer, because of the way pollen moves, it can be moved by birds, just by the air, wind, insects, things like that. Let's say you're a farmer and your shit is organic, but they find one fucking cross-contamination on your damn crop. They now own your entire crop. I'm not making this up. These people are diabolical and they are dangerous, but they are only that way because this asshole of Satan allows it. And of course, they're white. Of course. Do you understand? Of course. So I say keep your damn money in your pocket for cancer research and all this other bullshit. It's just the rat chasing the cheese. You're never going to have a cure for that shit. The best thing you can do is set up organizations to pay for people's burials or pay for their treatment, so they can have some kind of extension of life and things like that. But you don't give shit to cancer research because they're not there to research. They're not. They're not. Because money talks and research walks. Do you understand? It walks. This is the most diabolical place on earth you could live. And you need to stop buying bottled water as well, because that's a farce. You understand? Either you're going to get the bisphenol from the plastic, which is a chemical in the plastic. Either you're going to get that, or the water in the bitch is not fucking, it's not what Allah has created. Because real water rejuvenates your entire body. Your whole everything changes. Your sight clears up, your skin clears up, your hair grows, everything amazing. Your skin is supple and beautiful and perfect as if you just had a fucking facial. This is what living water does, everybody. Living water, and it heals and it cures. You understand? It strengthens your cells to fight off disease and all that. You don't need no fucking multivitamin. And Heart Smart and all the bullshit little labels they have and all this. Like, I'm disgusted. I want to be out this bitch yesterday. You understand? And I do pray for the destruction of America. I pray for that. That is my solemn prayer to my maker, from my mouth to his ears. Destroy this bitch off the earth for all the evil they have done and continue to do upon humanity. They're worthy of nothing but death and destruction. Do you understand me? Now, this is groundbreaking in two ways, because they were actually sued. Clutch the pearl. Because this is like Goliath. And they got everybody in their pocket, including judges. You even had a case where in fact, one of the farmers that you're going to hear from, that that the judge said that, because his farm had been contaminated by Monsanto's bullshit from somewhere else, we don't know where, the wind could have brought it to him. They now own his whole fucking farm and crop and all the bullshit. A judge did that shit. They're trying to actually own life. You understand? The only entity that would do that shit is a devil. A demonic thing, demon. Period. Not only did he sue them, but the second thing that makes this extraordinary is because he's an African. Huh? And it's some bullshit, because he probably won't live to spend it. We pray Allah for a miracle for him. You know, I personally wish I could get to the brother and say, you need to invest in you some camel's milk today, right now. Right now. Right now. Jury awards terminally ill brother $289 million in lawsuit against goddammit Monsanto. This is from August of this year. Plaintiff Dwayne Johnson. Ain't that The Rock's name, y'all? Ain't The Rock's name Dwayne Ain't The Rock's name Dwayne Johnson? Is it Dwayne? Whatever. Anyways, plaintiff Dwayne Johnson, shown on July 9 July, listening to his attorney speaking about, okay, we don't need that, okay. At 42, which is very young, Dwayne Johnson developed a bad rash that was eventually diagnosed as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. You see? I gotta say this too. I'm just going to be throwing a lot of stuff out and interrupting you guys, because in case it's not mentioning the information, I'm bringing these videos and so forth. You know, to any of my sisters out there with this, first of all, everybody on the time of my voice needs to get rid of fucking soda. That's first. Like, I don't really know how people can drink soda. I don't know how you do that. It's some bullshit. Give it up today. You don't need it. And certainly any of y'all with these diet fucking drinks, all that does is make you even more of a fat porpoise. Because what? It has more sodium in it, in addition to the cancer-causing aspartame sweetener. You understand? You just need to have, listen, whatever Allah put here is what is good for you. You understand what I'm telling you? Like, I eat real butter. Don't give me the artificial shit. Real butter. Whenever I can find it, quite frankly, because that's also fucking GMO. We're going to get into that. Alright? You eat what God created, you don't have no problems. All these people running away from fried food, fry your own fucking food at home not with some hard ass Crisco shit. When you fry your shit at home, you're not dealing with the same grease that you're dealing with in any of these public restaurants. That's a totally different thing. You understand? I don't eat fried food. Well, fine. But you definitely need to give up these damn diet drinks because they're just making you even more of a walrus. You understand? You're not doing anything by drinking a damn diet drink. Not a damn. But killing yourself. And blowing yourself up. Because what do athletes do to stay hydrated? They have to have that Gatorade. Why? Because it's high in sodium. Sodium makes you retain water. Salt makes you retain water just in general. You understand what I'm saying? So you're just blowing up like a Macy's Day float. And I already pointed out in my pork video that over 70 diseases are directly tied to fucking pork. 70. You got all these ailments. And the hardest thing is to tell, especially of our sisters, is you need to lose weight. They start giving you all these excuses and they can't. And then no self-control, no self-anything. It's like the 600-pound life show that I watch. Your face is the size of a house. You don't think you need to cut back? I can't. So this whole video may be in vain, but damn it, I'm doing it. At 42, okay, for four years later, Dwayne, now near death, according to his doctors, has been awarded a staggering sum of $289 million in damages in a case against this bitch-ass Monsanto bullshit. The former school groundskeeper sued the company, arguing that a herbicide in the weed killer Roundup likely caused the disease. His lawyers also contended that Monsanto failed to warn consumers about the alleged risk from their product. Because they got their hands deep in the pockets of all these damn politicians and shit. You know what I'm saying? All these bitch ass need to be killed in a fucking head-on collision. On Friday, a San Francisco jury agreed. Remember, this was back in August, I think it was, or July. On Friday, a San Francisco jury agreed. Okay, that's what's up then. All right. They deliberated for 3 days before awarding Johnson $250 million in punitive damages and $39 million in compensatory damages. The jury found Monsanto acted with malice and oppression because they knew what they were doing was wrong and doing it with reckless disregard for human life, said Robert F. Kennedy Jr., one of Johnson's attorneys. According to the Associated Press. Okay, this should send a strong message to the boardroom of Monsanto, Kennedy added. I also want to say this. A third reason why this is significant is because in a court of law, with any case that's adjudicated, that sets legal precedence. So it has opened the door now. It has pierced the armor of Monsanto. Let's not get excited though. But it has pierced their armor, you feel me? So now that opens the door for precedence, because just like it'll be the Dwayne Johnson versus Monsanto, that's now the case law. Any attorney worth their fucking degree will march into the court and say, you know, Your Honor, we cite the Johnson versus Monsanto case where the plaintiff was da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You see? So it sets precedence, which is also positive, but let's not hold our breath. Johnson is the first of hundreds of cancer cases against Monsanto and could be a bellwether of what lies ahead for the company. All right, they're kind of saying what I just said. All right, Bill Chopper as claims against Monsanto received a boost in 2015 when the International Agency for Research on Cancer, part of the World Health Organization, announced that 2 pesticides, including glyphosate, are probably carcinogenic to humans. Monsanto is now facing hundreds of lawsuits, many of which were filed after the 2015 announcement. Dozens of suits were joined to be heard in the court of U.S. District Judge Vince somebody, who, even as he allowed the case to proceed, said the plaintiffs appeared to face a daunting challenge in supporting their claims at the next phase of the case. So Monsanto has gotten to him and paid him. Let's read that again. Monsanto is now facing hundreds. Okay, blah blah blah, and dozens have been heard in the court by this Vince bitch person, who quote who comma, even as he allowed the case to proceed, comma, said the plaintiffs, quote, appear to face a daunting challenge, end quote, in supporting their claims for the next phase of the case. You see? Well, what challenge is it? What challenge is it? Because your bitch ass is paid off by Monsanto? Is that the reason? Huh? What, are they going to not allow jury trials now or something? You see? Profits over people, everybody. They don't give a fuck about you. We were finally able to show the jury the secret internal Monsanto documents proving that Monsanto has known for decades that Roundup could cause cancer. Johnson's lawyer said, okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, Monsanto has consistently denied that glyphosate-based herbicides cause cancer, as if they are experts. No. We are sympathetic to Mr. Johnson and his family. No, you're not. Monsanto, fuck him. The Vice President Scott Lyer said in a statement following the verdict, today's decision does not change the fact that more than 800 scientific studies and reviews support the fact that glyphosate does not cause cancer and did not cause Mr. Johnson's cancer. Fuck you. It did. And you see, the other thing is that the FDA allowed them to do their own studies and go, this is what we found. This is the truth. And they just, okay, like the government didn't allow any independent, like, okay, we hear what you're saying, but we're going to send in some independents, just verify your claims. They just took their word for it. You understand? It's not fucking Afghanistan and Iraq you should be bombing. It's these bitches. You understand? This is who needs to be bombed off the goddamn earth. Send troops to this shit. He confirmed the company will appeal the decision because they're so fucking evil and continue because it's profits over people, and we don't give a fuck if Mr. Johnson dies or lives. Who gives a fuck? And continue to vigorously defend this product, which has a 40-year history of safe use and continues to be a vital, effective, safe tool for farmers and others. I'm over it. These are also the same bitches that created the Agent Orange that they sprayed over fucking Vietnam. A lot of those people are still in 2018 dealing with the effects of fucking Agent Orange right now as I speak to you on this day. Do you understand me? My God. Like I say, America is bullshit. Like, white people have robbed humanity of the right to come to earth as a divinely created vessel and live out a full ordained life from birth to death, unfucking interrupted. And you see if they did our goddamn history and everything else and continue to lie and delete and change. Nah, this ain't the spot, homie. This is not the spot. Now I want to go to our first video. And I've got several of them lined up, but you know, like I say, I'm not concerned about time, everybody. Give a damn. If you're fake and pathetic, click your bitch ass away now and leave the rest of us alone and don't have shit to say. You understand? People's lives depend on this. Your life depends on this. And this isn't something you can listen to today and then you think about it. No, your ass needs to make change today. Like when you finish listening to this fucking video, you need to be in your kitchen throwing shit away. That's what you need to do. Nothing else is going to be acceptable. Do you understand me? Nothing. And if you don't do that, you deserve whatever you get. That's real. That's real. Now, let's go to this first video. Now, these videos are not going to be in any certain order, everybody. I'm too fat and lazy to do that. So they're not going to be in any certain order. We're just going to go through them. And that's what we're going to do. Alright, let's hear this now.
Together, we can face the challenges of the next generation and beyond.
Improving agriculture, improving lives. The motto of the world's largest producer of pesticides and genetically modified seeds.
We're Monsanto, and we're working with farmers and partners worldwide to realize a vision for sustainable agriculture.
A vision not sustained by all. Thousands of Vietnamese still suffer from the effects of Agent Orange, the deadly Monsanto chemical sprayed by the U.S. during the Vietnam War. And the town of Anniston, Alabama, is still poisoned with toxic chemicals, contamination covered up by Monsanto for over 40 years.
Court documents showed their response when the executives learned that they were quietly poisoning the people of Anniston, Alabama with their PCB factories. They said, "We can't afford to lose $1 of business."
Today they're most recognized for their growing monopoly over genetically modified seeds they patent. Seeds that many argue do more harm than good.
Genetically engineered crops are devastating biodiversity, insects, human health, and our chances of producing food into the future.
Currently, 70% of food in the U.S. contains genetically modified ingredients, but consumers have no way of telling as there's no labeling requirement. And when polled, 95% of Americans support mandatory labeling. So states are taking their own initiative, like Vermont.
Despite passing out of the House Agricultural Committee by a vote of 9.
Who's that's in opposition to it? I wonder who that guy is. I wonder if I knew who that was. I feel like he ran for president and should have been president, except everybody was hooked on that fucking sniper fire bitch. And then they blamed it on the Russians and you ended up with the orange tulip. I'm sorry, I digress. I'm sorry, let's go back.
Despite passing out of the House Agricultural Committee by a vote of 9-1, the bill didn't make it any further because of the fear of a lawsuit from this huge multinational corporation.
A reasonable fear. 144 small farmers who say Monsanto's GM seeds blew into their farms and cross-pollinated have already been sued for patent infringement.
See there? Their seeds blew into somebody's farm and they've all been sued now for patent infringement. This is diabolical evil at the highest level. Hear that again.
Seeds blew into their farms and cross-pollinated have already...
Corporation.
A reasonable fear. 144 small farmers who say Monsanto's GM seeds blew...
144 farmers.
Blew into their farms and cross-pollinated have already been sued for patent infringement.
It's a disease that's been affecting many of the commercial pollinators.
Sued for patent infringement. Wow. That's like I create a toy for a kid and it blows into your yard during the tornado and I go, damn it, you stole my toy and I'm suing you for it. Same thing.
Affect the population of the bees. And in fact, about a third of the bees die every year due to colony collapse.
The latest buzz about Monsanto is that their genetically engineered crops and...
See, because it's affecting the ecology. You understand? The cycle of life. You have a crop of oranges or greens or something, and then the natural worms that would come, and then the insects that fly in to eat them, and the birds, and then it affects the birds, I mean, it's just everything. You feel me? This is diabolical, everybody. There's no other word for it. This is the highest evil. When you can't even sit down and have something to eat for nourishment. The very source of life. Think about that.
Patent infringement.
Is a disease that's been affecting many of the commercial pollinators, affect the population of the bees. And in fact, about a third of the bees die every year due to colony collapse.
A third.
The latest buzz about Monsanto is that their genetically engineered crops and herbicides could be a factor in the decimation of the honeybee colonies. In Poland, 1,500 beekeepers recently demonstrated against Monsanto's Mon 810 corn, depositing thousands of dead bees at the Ministry of Agriculture.
In Europe, they are against GMOs because they know about it.
In the U.S., Smith says,
It's been a carefully controlled media control coup.
in another coup, according to critics, Monsanto bought bee research firm Biologics last year.
Biologics has also passed themselves off as the ones investigating colony collapse disorder, explaining why it happens, and certainly we won't see Biologics investigating the connection between GMOs and colony collapse disorder.
See that?
Monsanto claims it's the responsibility of the FDA to assess GMO risks.
Oh, it's responsibility of the FDA to find out if what we're doing is fucking killing everybody. It's the FDA's responsibility. Wait till you find out who the fucking head of the FDA is.
But the revolving door between the corporation and government could be distorting the facts.
The person in charge of policy at the FDA, who made that policy, the hands-off policy, was Monsanto's former attorney, later Monsanto's vice president, and now back at the FDA as U.S. food safety czar.
And he's the food safety czar now. Their own dude is in-house. Nope, nothing to see there. It's all safe. Let's take it back and go on. We're a couple more seconds in this.
Government could be distorting the facts.
The person in charge of policy at the FDA, who made that policy, the hands-off policy, was Monsanto's former attorney, later Monsanto's vice president, and now back at the FDA as U.S. food safety czar.
Hardly reassuring for Americans concerned about the safety of their food. Abby Martin, RT, Washington.
All right. Let's see another one, and then we'll go to our list of shit. Get ready to write. At the very least, be prepared to be shocked of all the shit that you no longer can eat. You understand? Oh my god, I can't. Ugh.
In the United States, nearly 75% of all supermarket foods are genetically engineered or modified in some way. And while this fact alone should be enough to make you think twice about what you buy at your local food store, it gets worse. The United States does not require labeling of genetically modified foods.
Hear that? Does not require it. Just put anything out there. You see? Give a damn about you. And then our sisters can't understand why, girl, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose this weight. And they just can't lose it. They think they're eating right. And they're not. You feel me? Oh my God.
So you really have no idea whether you're buying something natural or vegetables filled with fish genes. And that's how biotech and agribusiness companies want to keep it. But a new grassroots campaign is underway with hopes of toppling the big biotech bullies and outing genetically modified foods. So if you think that you can't control whether or not you eat genetically modified foods, then maybe everything you know is wrong. Joining me is Alexis Baden-Mayer. Baden-Mayer. My apologies. I lived in Germany.
I'm over it.
So
I can't wait to. I hope they put her name up on the screen so I can hate it. I hate when people do that. That you guys have heard me say this before. You have a name that's clearly spelled one way, and you kind of get me to say something else other than what I see in my face. I'll punch you. I'm over it.
Political director of the Organic Consumers Association, Alexis, welcome. So I kind of default to German pronunciations for. How long have corporate agribusiness giants like Monsanto been basically in charge of whether or not we can know what they're doing?
Well, do you know anybody who's 18 years old? They've been living with this food unlabeled in their diet.
Baden-Mayer. All right, I'm gonna let the heifer go. But now You heard what she said. Do you know anybody that's 18? You see what I'm saying? First thing I think about is my little nieces. You know what I'm saying? And of course my nephew. He's almost 17. This is diabolical, everybody. Damn.
They've been living with this food unlabeled in their diet since 1992.
Since birth.
Yeah, since birth. So we have our first generation of people raised on Monsanto's unlabeled genetically engineered foods.
That pisses me off.
We also have an obesity crisis in the United States. We also have an explosion of autism among people in that cohort.
Diabetes, you see, and we know America is the fattest nation on earth. Look, you guys, when you even, and it's still on topic, but I want to make a comparison, a contrast here. When you see them in like the UK, they say a spot of tea, like it just be like this little tiny cup, and they just barely sip it. It look like a little Barbie doll cup or something. When they have coffee or espresso, it's the same thing. Here, you got these big ass fucking 18-gallon lattes bitches are sipping on. Like, what? The fattest nation on earth, the fattest. But like I say, this is the asshole of Satan, so of course there would be gluttony here, huh? So go on.
Yep.
Am I connecting dots that only a crazy conspiracy theorist would, or?
Not at all. And these are the issues that need to be studied.
We're seeing an explosion in childhood cancer too.
Yeah, I mean, I have an 8-year-old girl. I'm very interested in the issue of premature puberty. You know,
yes, that's exploding too.
And we know that there's a connection between cows that are given growth hormone that make them overproduce milk, and the types of hormones that are in the children who have premature puberty.
See? So and when we get to this list, I think I'll do the list after this video. You're gonna see baby food. You understand? Our women have got to breastfeed our children. We need you for that. We need you to do that. But this also, she's talking about this growth hormone, which we've known about this for years, actually. This bovine, I hope they say it. But anyway, like, I can't. That's why 15-year-olds are 6 feet tall now. With a size 12, like a size 13 shoe or some shit. And our girls are developing so quickly. You know? And then add that to what we saw come on several years ago, where we had all these cases of teachers sleeping with their students. I almost can't really, I can almost see it. You feel me? Even if I don't condone it, I can intellectualize it and say, well, the kids that are sitting in front of them now don't look like kids. It used to be when you went past even a high school campus, it looked like high school kids. Now the schools are built like fucking universities and shit, and the kids look like adults. You're like, is that a college? You don't even know if it's a college. You're looking for the sign. It's that critical. Let's go on.
Types of hormones that are in the children who have premature puberty, but it's never been studied. So that's what
Let's take that back for context.
That are in the children who have cows that are given, and we know that there's a connection between cows that are given growth hormone that make them overproduce milk, and the types of hormones that are in the children who have premature puberty, but it's never been studied. So that's what we're being kept away from, is that knowledge about what is happening with our food supply.
So tell me what's happening in California this November.
Well, we're running the California Right to Know campaign. We're going to put this issue on the ballot. It has been, unfortunately, in American democracy, with companies like Monsanto being able to give so many campaign contributions, spend so much money on marketing and lobbying, we have not been successful in the legislatures, even though this cause, to have genetically engineered foods labeled, has the support of 9 out of 10 Americans.
Wow.
And yet, you know, it could be 100%, and it doesn't seem like we're getting anywhere with the legislatures. We're not getting anywhere with the presidential administrations.
Because we don't storm shit. We don't storm shit.
So we're taking our cause to the voters, and we think with 9 out of 10 support at the polls. We should be able to win this one.
Now, there are other countries where it is not just legal to label GMO foods, but illegal not to.
Oh, right. I mean, most of the industrialized world. Just about
Virtually all of
everybody.
Europe,
China, Europe, everywhere, yeah.
Wow. And what's their experience been?
Well, I think consumers now in Europe and other parts of the world where genetically engineered foods are labeled, consumers actually know what they're eating. They ask questions about what the health effects could be, and their governments actually have to investigate and regulate genetically engineered foods. I spoke a little bit about bovine growth hormone, which was the very first GMO that entered the U.S. food.
Bovine growth hormone. That's what she was talking about. That's the name I couldn't think. Bovine growth hormone.
And regulate genetically engineered foods. I spoke a little bit about bovine growth hormone, which was the very first GMO that entered the U.S. food supply. No other industrialized country accepted it.
No other industrialized country accepted it. This is the asshole of the devil. Nobody else accepted it. You understand? And oh, by the way, that was one of their beefs with Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, among other things. He was not allowing in any of the U.S. food. Then you have my Muslim brother in the Gambia, who also was like, fuck that, we will grow our own food and thank you please. Oh my god. I'm telling you, dude, like, oh my god, I can't. Like, I can't. Let's go back for context and go on.
Very first GMO that entered the U.S. food supply. No other industrialized country accepted it. They saw the research that this might increase cancer rates. This would make a lot of people allergic to it. It's less nutritious than normal milk. They saw that research, which came from Monsanto, the company who made the product, and they said, that's enough for us. We're not interested in this product. In the United States, it went on to the market
stuck with this
unlabeled.
stuff? Whoa.
You hear what he said? We're the only country stuck with this stuff?
Whoa.
It went on to the market
stuck with this
unlabeled.
stuff?
It went on to the market
stuck with this
unlabeled.
stuff?
It went on to the market
stuck with this
unlabeled.
stuff? Whoa.
Because this is what? Say it, class. The asshole of Satan.
It's incredible. What can we do ahead of the California showdown? And perhaps most importantly, it seems like at the federal level, let me back up a little bit. I lived in Vermont a decade ago, and Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream company was in Vermont, and they came out with a label on their package that said contains no BGH.
Yeah, that's the recombinant bovine growth hormone.
RGBH.
No, Ben & Jerry's came out with a label saying that their ice cream didn't have any of this growth hormone in it. Hear this.
BH.
Yeah, that's the recombinant bovine growth hormone.
RGBH. And they got squashed like a bug for that. I mean, you know the issue, so you know the story. You know, the USDA, I think it was, came down on them and said, no, you can't say it's not there because that'll cause people to worry about everything else.
Think about that. Deliberate deception. So you could foresee, I could, a mass class action lawsuit involving every citizen of this country against the U.S. government and these organizations. That is a class action lawsuit right there. That's what they're made of. That's what they're made of. That's what they're made of. And you'd have any law firm in this country shut down only to deal with just this class action lawsuit. I promise you. But you can't get American people to do any fucking thing. You can't. They don't want to believe that their government is evil, especially white people. Black folks, we know the government's evil. We know it. Because we're the biggest victim of the government. But white folks, and a lot of immigrants even, don't want to believe, and you can't even get them to even hear that the government's evil. You can't.
Cause people to worry about everything else. And apparently Monsanto was behind this. Eventually they were able to change their labeling practices, but it's like, it is so weird here in the United States. Beyond California, national plans?
Well, absolutely. There were 18 states that introduced laws to label genetically engineered foods. Most of those state campaigns were amazingly successful. We had hundreds of activists showing up at public hearings. The only reason that these laws didn't pass is because most of them weren't brought to a vote. Very few of them were even brought to votes in committees. Monsanto is a step ahead of us.
Because of money to the
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but if they give $500 to the party chairs and then the rules committee, the people who decide which bills get voted on, and they do that over a number of years, the legislators know who their friends are.
Let's hope this time people power can trump money power. Alexis.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
Thanks for the great work you're doing.
We hope that people power can trump money power. Well, good luck with that. But part of the reason why I'm bringing this is to tell you, the individual, have to make the choice. Because what I know absolutely about any business is you track the numbers. And when you see a dip in your profits, things change. You understand? Because you're in business to make money. Nobody's in business, unfortunately, just for the good of humanity. Nobody does that. Except the Jedi. But that'll be in the book. We'll get into that. So, I want my people to stop with the nonsense. We're going to go to this list now. It's very voluminous, and I will just figure out how we're going to go through it when we get to it. But you need to be impressed by this list because it is comprehensive and it shows you that when you finish watching this video, you need to get out your biggest hefty glad bag and start throwing shit out. Because actually, first I should show you some of the results first. We'll see another video first to sort of whet your palate for yeah, I think that'd be a good order to go in. So let me present this other video first. It's a little longer than the other ones that we've seen because it's from a documentary. Alright, let's go to that now.
Pay close attention to what you're about to see.
Now, I will edit out, because they do show some dissection of rats. No big fucking deal, but I'll edit it out.
These images will be seen around the world.
So, there may be a break in the dialogue that you hear from the video. Just know that when I edit those portions. So if you wait, that didn't finish a sentence, or that didn't, just know that I edited it there. Alright, let's go on.
World. These rats are being fed with transgenic corn during their entire life cycle. The tumors they suffer from are enormous. Following years of doubt and controversies, will we finally know the truth about GMOs? Would we then be faced with a health crisis of global proportions?
Presentation of results collected by Professor Cirilani during his study focused on determining the potential harmfulness of the GMO corn for humans and animals. And by the way, corn is the biggest fucking culprit in all of this, everybody. Your corn oil, and by the way, it's so funny because I only use canola oil for everything. I mean, I use olive oil and I use canola oil. If I'm frying, I use canola oil. If I'm using, if I'm just sauteing or something, I use, olive oil or whatever. Even when I bake chicken, when I bake a whole chicken, I rub it, once I've washed it and dried it, then I rub it down inside and out with olive oil before I start seasoning it, So, hadn't heard anything about olives, but I think they're suspect too, but we'll find out. Let's go on. Stay with me on this video,
This is the
everybody.
longest, most thorough study to have been carried out on a GMO, and we have also carried
Wait, I was talking on that first intro to the dialogue. Let me shut up.
This is the longest, most thorough study to have been carried out on a GMO, and we have also carried out a joint study on the most used pesticide in the world, the Roundup, which is a herbicide. It belongs to the main pesticide category.
The guy is translating, because the piece is in French, just so you know.
We spent over a year trying to obtain transgenic corn because no GMO manufacturers were willing to provide them. This is because Monsanto requires contracts to be signed stipulating that the seeds must not be used for testing.
Their seeds must not be used for testing. You gotta sign a contract. They don't give you their shit to even test unless you do what they want you to do. You see, their evil is complete. It is complete and thorough. Go on.
And an arrangement must be made prior to the testing. We wanted our study to be independent.
This is the first time that a 2-year study has been conducted on GMOs. And there lies the big difference. Furthermore, we tried to evaluate a maximum of biochemical and biological parameters with repeated blood tests, weighing of the specimens, and urine tests. We studied the hepatic and urinary parameters, as well as the blood parameters, all the parameters that can be studied. We also studied the hormonal parameters, which has never been done in previous studies. This experiment is a world premiere.
Up until now, the corn NK603, the very one selected for the study, had only been tested over a 3-month period, and that in a test environment entirely controlled by Monsanto, its manufacturer. Furthermore, concerning the Roundup, also manufactured by Monsanto, and which is used for growing corn, only its active agent, glyphosate, had been assessed. But one needs to understand that the manufacturers, in order to enable the active agent to penetrate the plant cell successfully, use additives that are sometimes more harmful than the actual glyphosate.
We had 2 clear objectives. Firstly, to conduct the studies exactly according to international requirements, but making sure to be very thorough when it comes to analyzing the results. Secondly, we want to determine if there are secondary effects. The only way to do this is to carry out tests on animals and then to examine all the blood parameters whilst paying close attention to their organs.
Whilst. I love that word. Whilst paying close attention to the... I love that. Whilst.
At this stage, it might prove useful to know exactly what GMOs are used for. It is a plant that has been developed either to produce its own insecticide or to be tolerant to a herbicide, thus enabling it to be exposed to massive doses of it without dying.
A plant that produces its own pesticide, everybody. Think about that. Think about that. Make it impervious to shit that you put on it. So you get in the inside and the shit that's on it. Like, gone are the days of, oh, make sure you wash them vegetables, you know. Because that used to be, you could just wash them so you make sure you get all the pesticides off them, soak them or whatever, and you're good. Gone are those days, homie. That's a distant relic. You see, due to this diabolical evil. Let's hear this section again.
To know exactly what GMOs are used for. It is a plant that has been developed either to produce its own insecticide or to be tolerant to a herbicide, thus enabling it to be exposed to massive doses of it without dying. One can understand how GMOs could be useful to farmers. For example, they would be able to spray their entire field with Roundup, killing all the weeds in the process and never harming the genetically modified plant.
See there? 'Cause it's Frankenstein. Listen, I bought some raspberries and some blueberries, and I let them sit in my refrigerator for an eternity. The bitches never got mold on them even. What I also want to communicate to you now, so I don't forget about it, is anything. Here's what you should be doing from this day forward, everybody. Everything that you consume should die. If it don't die, if it doesn't rot and die, you don't eat that. But unfortunately, we need to add another layer to that. It also must be either you got to grow it or it's got to be organic, and you got to get in their face and threaten lawsuits and everything. If you go to like Whole Foods or something like that, you want a manager. You understand? And I'm so specific, like I want something in writing. I can have it a form pre-written and they just sign it. You guaranteeing to me that you are absolutely certain this has not been touched by any of this Monsanto bullshit, that it is God-given, it's a God-given process that produced this, etc., etc. It really is that, it's that deep. It's that serious. Like we don't got no choice. Do you understand me? Because your life depends on it. People are walking around with cancers and all these other fucking diseases and bullshit that aren't even necessary. And the very food that Allah has put on the earth is meant to cure those things. You understand? And prevent them. Excuse me. And you try to eat healthy, but then you find out it's some bullshit. This is diabolical. It's diabolical. It's diabolical. And also, everyone should be, at the end of this, I'll make a note to remember this. Where's the bitch at? I need to make a note of this. Oh, where's my phone? For the love. Oh. I'm going to put up a website. Everybody needs to contact your local state and federal representatives. You understand? Don't forget to put up the website of how to contact your Congress people, period. Alright. Because calling, they asked and saying, are you supporting this Monsanto bullshit? I'm your constituent. And by the way, they have to take your call, everybody. They have to take your call. Let's go on.
On the other hand, it is hard to see the benefits for the consumer, who will effectively be ingesting substances coming from a plant that has absorbed pesticides. That is why it is crucial to test not only the GMO, but also the GMO with its residue and the pesticide on its own.
This type of testing had never been done before because the corporations doing the tests would do them on GMOs with the Roundup, which meant that we had no idea what between the GMO and the Roundup caused the pathologies, or they did them on GMOs without specifying that this was the case. So what we decided to do was to address the question, are we dealing with the effects of the GMO or the pesticide? During the last 10 years of testing, the National Commission did not envisage a pesticide effect.
Remember, you're dealing with two different things here. You're dealing with the GMO, which is where they go in and physically alter the genetics of said item, fruit, plant, whatever. And then you're also dealing with the chemicals as well. So we're dealing with biological and chemical. Alright, just to make that distinction for everybody. Let's go on.
Therefore, Europe does not even demand that chronicle toxicity tests be systematically carried out on animals, and when they are required, it is the manufacturers who decide the protocol to be used. For example, the Amflora potato was only tested on a group of 30 rats, 10 of which were being fed the GMO. The Monsanto corn was tested on 400 rats. 80 of them were fed the transgenic plant, but only 40 of them were then subjected to blood tests.
Speaking of potatoes, remember you could buy a sack of potatoes, and if they stay in your house too long, whether you keep them in the refrigerator or if you keep them out, they start growing the stalks out of them, the roots start coming out of them and stuff. Now You can have a potato in your fucking refrigerator for 10 years. The bitch will do nothing but wither. I'm over it.
Either way, none of these studies lasted longer than 90 days.
What is represented by this figure is that certain groups of rats, male and female, have ingested GMO corn. GMO corn with Roundup residue and Roundup on its own. Every time we go up a level, a rat dies. The limit is 10 due to the number of rats that constitute a group. The dotted line represents the females of the group who die but have a completely normal diet. Only 2 animals die spontaneously after 550 days. On the other hand, every female that has been fed on the GMO with Roundup or Roundup diet has died more frequently than the other rats. Some will challenge the relevance of such results, but what is undeniable is that in the group that has been exposed to the GMOs, there is a 600% increase or 6 times more deaths compared to the control group.
You hear that? 6 times more deaths.
As far as medicinal biology is concerned, there is no need for further testing.
An important fact is that all the studies carried out on the rats are done over a 3-month period. It so happens that none of the effects are visible until the 4th month. This is fundamental in understanding that studies conducted over a 3-month period are useless. This conclusion is easily understandable. It could be said that their only use is to soothe the consciences.
Every rat out of the 200 that were tested was dissected by Professor Seralini's team. They did this to discover exactly what had affected their organs. The purpose behind this was to identify the way each diet, GMO and Roundup on its own, had acted on the metabolism of each animal, focusing on the development rate of the tumors that, and this comes as no surprise, only start to manifest themselves after the initial 3-month period.
This figure represents the number of palpable tumors contracted by the animal during the experiment. Here, we can see the rats subjected to GMOs compared to those with a regular diet. As you can see, very few males have contracted tumors. This is due to them being more resistant to the testing process. What these figures show are the large tumors. Each step up represents a large tumor, which can measure 17 millimeters by 17 millimeters. For a rat, these measurements are colossal. It would equate to...
Look at the size of the fucking tumor.
A tumor of this size if seen on a human being. It is enormous. After having studied these tumors, it can be said that 94% of them take effect in the mammary glands, which would equate to breast cancer.
In the mammary gland, I can't say it, mammary glands. Hear this, my women. Hear this, my women.
Tumors, it can be said that 94% of them take effect in the mammary glands.
94% of them take place in the mammary glands. This is why you got people wearing pink for breast cancer and shit now. It's a direct relationship to this bullshit. Directly related, and I'm showing you.
Studied these tumors, it can be said that 94% of them take effect in the mammary glands, which would equate to breast cancer in a woman. We are faced with renal tumors for the males, but not only, some males also suffer from mammary tumors.
Renal tumors, that's going to have to do with the kidneys. You understand? And also in the breast of men, you know. We started hearing years ago, you know, men can also have breast cancer. That blew me back. Like, it blew me back and down the street. Do you understand me?
To breast cancer in a woman. We are faced with renal tumors for the males, but not only, some males also suffer from mammary tumors. This points towards a hormonal effect that isn't affected by the dosage. 60% of breast cancer cases are caused by hormonal deficiencies.
60% of breast cancer cases are caused by hormonal deficiencies. Wow. And and all you hear about is women need to go and have their breasts examined, and go and make sure you go have a breast exam, and no bitch, get rid of that GMO bullshit. How about that?
Isn't affected by the dosage. 60% of breast cancer cases are caused by hormonal deficiencies.
Professor Seralini's study holds one last surprise for us, and this is a major one. Up until now, one could have thought that the main cause of death for the tested rats was coming from the pesticide added to the corn. But what the study highlighted, and this for the first time ever, is the fact that the transgenesis itself could have killed the rats. What this means is that just by interfering with the genome of the plant in order to modify it, we are faced with repercussions that no one could have anticipated.
Translate that, Jedi. What that means is, just by altering it, in other words, the moment you touch what Allah has created perfectly, you just ruined it. You just ruined. Hear that again, because they're using a different language to say it. I want you to be clear about this.
Interfering with the...
Just a second.
He highlighted, and this for the first time ever, is the fact that the transgenesis itself...
The transgenesis itself, that's the word they're using, the transgenesis. In other words, fucking with it. Hear it now. Go on.
Could have killed the rats.
What
this means is that just by interfering with the genome of the plant in order to modify it, we are faced...
In order to modify it, this is why you're faced with this bullshit.
With repercussions that no one could have anticipated. This is enough to make us reconsider all the scientific precepts that led to the creation of GMOs.
Right. Just touching it. You understand? The moment you try to touch what Allah, the Divine, has created, you've ruined it. I don't care what you do to it. It is no longer perfect. Once it has been touched by man.
Roundup had never been tested separately. Whilst conducting cellular studies, we saw that the cells of the liver, embryos, kidneys, placenta and the umbilical cord died much faster, and so we could deduce that there was a toxic effect on the organism. What can be said is that there is an increase in deaths due to GMOs and Roundups. The biggest surprise came when we realized that GMOs without any Roundup residue were responsible for an increase in the death rate of females and of some...
Hear that? So the biological, touching it, is responsible for more for deaths in like even without the chemical.
Without any Roundup residue were responsible for an increase
I want you to hear that sequence. I want you to hear that.
What can be said is that there is an increase in...
There's an increase...
Deaths due to GMOs.
In deaths due to GMOs. That's the touching it and changing it.
And Roundups. The biggest surprise died much faster, and so we could deduce that there was a toxic effect on the organism. What can be said is that there is an increase in deaths due to GMOs and Roundups. The biggest surprise came when we...
The biggest surprise, that's where he says it. This is where he said the biggest surprise came when...
Realized that GMOs without any Roundup... residue were responsible for an increase in the death rate of females and of some males.
See? So before you even get to the chemical, just them changing the plant. You understand? Wow. Because think about it, your body breaks down food, and so it does what it's supposed to do as far as how it receives and translates food into nutrition and energy for you and all those things and healing. Once you change, because remember you have a DNA code. The food is meant to match your code in order to nourish you. That's the way God created it. So once you change the code, your body now doesn't know what to do with that. And so the way the body deals with anything foreign is usually the side effect is some kind of a disease or something or sickness of some kind. You see? Oh my God. Pain is a warning that something's wrong.
without any Roundup residue were responsible for an increase in the death rate of females and of some males. This could be the result of the GMO gene that has been badly assimilated by the plant and that has therefore resulted in a negative effect or due to a secondary metabolical effect.
What that means is that we are dealing with a GMO in particular, a modification of a cereal or a GMO corn.
Wait, this don't have shit to do with nothing, but why is dude trying to be low-key David Bowie, everybody? Let me find out. He's trying to be low-key David Bowie. The little Japanese collar, you feel me? Like the little streaks up here. Come on, this is David Bowie, everybody. Stop playing with me. Let's dance. Okay. Put on your dance shoes and dance the blues. Let's dance. Okay, I'm over it.
Negative effect or due to a secondary metabolical effect.
What that means is that we are dealing with a GMO in particular, a modification of a cereal or a GMO corn. With regard to the genes inserted in the corn to make it a GMO corn can result in different effects. It is not because a certain GMO has a particular effect that other GMOs will have an effect, but some may even have more of an impact.
What is alarming, this is the GMO that is being eaten by the Americans, but also the GMO that has been approved for importation by European agencies, including the French ones, and that obviously contaminates our food.
But we already learned from the Alexis chick that was sitting up there that all the other nations rejected it. But in Europe, at least in some parts of Europe, they allow it, but they label it. They let it be known this is Frankenstein food. So the consumer has a choice. I need to make that distinction for consistency in the information. Let's go on.
But some may even have more of an impact.
What is alarming, this is the GMO that is being eaten by the Americans, but also the GMO that has been approved for importation by European agencies, including the French ones, and that obviously contaminates our food.
Nowadays, only two types of GMOs are being produced in a few European countries. One is corn and the other potato. But what about the 27 million tons of transgenic soya that are unloaded each year in European ports?
Transgenic soy. Do you understand? Hear this.
And the other potato. But what about the 27 million tons of transgenic soya that are unloaded each year in European ports? This soya is used to feed our cattle, but it also makes its way into a number of foodstuffs.
What we want to achieve with this study is a moratorium. The situation is serious enough and we're not going to eat everything and anything. We imported without knowing what was being imported, and the United States have produced crops without knowing what they were producing. There needs to be more studies of this kind, and GMO manufacturers need to conduct them before commercializing their products.
A moratorium on growing GMOs has been approved by most European countries.
A moratorium. Like, get rid of it. Been approved by most European countries.
Now that we know the results of the study conducted by Professor Seralini, could it be time to extend this moratorium to all the GMO used in many of our foods?
Yes.
To establish an undeniable scientific truth, one needs teams, time, and means. Some will say that it takes too much time and that it is too expensive. But had we taken this precaution, could we not have avoided recent sanitary scandals?
You know, it always kills me when there's something important. They go, we just don't have the money to do it. What does that mean? I never understand that. I just don't. That just means, oh, it could be done, but nobody's going to do it unless you give them money. Go on, Jedi. I'm getting worked up, y'all. Damn it, I'm getting worked up.
Will GMOs be responsible yet again for a calamitous scenario? And while we are waiting for scientific certainties, evidently, this is a risk we cannot afford to take.
I'm over it. Now, let us go to our list, everybody, of all the shit, so that you can see that this is in everything. When you walk into your kitchen after this video, you're just going to stand there with a horrified look on your face and your mouth open. Let's go to this now. Now, this is a very comprehensive list, everybody. So I think the best way to go through it is, like for instance, here at the top, baby food, Nabisco, Philip Morris. All right. I will link this list as well. That way we can move through it a little quicker. But you see it has arrowroot teething biscuits, infant formula Carnation, infant formulas, Nestle, Al Soy, Good Start, follow up soy, follow up soy. All right. Enfamil, infant formulas. So for me, it's just then anything Enfamil, you need to get rid of it. We don't care about the specifics. Enfamil, you're over it. All right. Isomil, infant formulas, throw it out. Now, baking, genetically engineered ingredients, Aunt Goddammit Jemima, at Quaker. You understand? So, in my mind, there goes my grits. You feel me? Aunt Jemima Complete, the buttermilk, the cornbread, the easy, all throw it out. Betty Goddammit Crocker, her ass, throw it out. General Mills. General Mills is also your cereal. You understand? No more. Bisquick, Betty Crocker, General Mills, throw the shit out. Duncan Goddammit Heinz, Muffin Mix, Kellogg's all brand apple cinnamon, Kellogg's all brand blueberry crumb, chocolate chip, Hungry Jack Pillsbury, throw the shit out. Miss Goddammit Butterworth, throw it out. Pepperidge Goddammit Farms, Campbell's, throw it out. By the way, Campbell's, that's going to be soup as well, so throw that out. So I was saying, so that's gonna mean soup as well in my mind. Baker's, Kraft, Philip Morris, unsweetened chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, German sweet chocolate, all this bullshit, it's gotta go. Toll House, all of it, throw it out. Bread, genetically engineered ingredients, wholesome, interstate bakeries, wholesome thin slice, Roman meal. Well, that's out for me. No, mine was butter top. Yeah, butter top wheat. This is out. You understand? These are some of your breads. Those are out now. Here's more Pepperidge Goddammit Farms. You see? All this is out, everybody. It's out. 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 You see? Thomas, Best Foods. So my cinnamon raisin Thomas English muffins are out, homie. You understand? Wonder. Nobody should ever eat Wonder Bread. Ever. Like, just ever. But Wonder, that's out. You see? The sandwich bread, the buttermilk, the country grain, blah, 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 etc., etc. Breakfast, genetically engineered ingredients, Kellogg's, Pop-Tarts, goddammit. Pop-Tart snacks, all this is out. Nutri-Grain bars, all of that is out. Fruitful squares, all that's out. Nabisco, goddammit. Nabisco Philip Morris, fruit and grain bars, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to eat healthy. I'll just have a healthy, Nutri-Grain bar, and you getting this GMO bullshit that's giving you cancer and everything else. Toaster scrambles and strudels from Pillsbury. Quaker, it's out. Eggo, frozen waffles, that's all out. Homestyle, buttermilk, all the bullshit, all of it, it's out, it's out, it's out. Hungry Jack, frozen waffles, that's out. Cereal, Every fucking cereal that you could name is on the list. Throw it out. No more cereal. And that's from General Mills. Then you have Kellogg's cereal. Those are all out. You see, your cereal is on this list someplace between these two. Your cereal is on there. If you eat cereal, it's all out. There's goddammit Lucky Charms. Out. You understand? Tricks, Kicks, all the bullshit. So you have, General Mills, Kellogg's, all right, Country Inn Specialties, all varieties, Mother's cereal, Toasted Oats, Peanut Butter Bumpers, all this bullshit. It's all out. I'm linking this. All right, Post. This devastated me because I love Post Raisin Bran. That's out. Bran Flakes. You know what I'm saying? All of it. Quaker. This is out. Let me bring this in. Life. You understand what I'm saying? Cinnamon Life, goddammit. Toasted oatmeal, oat bran, all the bullshit, all this is all out. Chocolate. Genetically engineered ingredients. Cadbury and Hershey's. You said Mounds, Almond Joy, York Peppermint Patty, Dairy Milk, Roast Almond, Fruit and Nut, Hershey's, Kit Kat, goddammit, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Mr. Goddammit Good Bar, Special Dark, Milk Chocolate, Kisses, Symphony, it's all out. Kraft Philip Morris, Toblerone, never heard of it. Mars, M&M's, all goddamn varieties. Snacks, or Snickers, my favorite fucking candy bar on the planet Earth. It's out. Three Musketeers, goddammit, Tears. Milky Way, Twix, it's all out. Nestle Crunch, Milk Chocolate, Chunky, Butterfinger. Carnation, Nestle, hot cocoa mixes, that's out. You can't even have a cup of hot chocolate. It's out. Hershey's, chocolate syrup, special dark syrup, strawberry syrup. You know what I'm saying? This is all out, everybody. People are walking around with all kinds of ailments and shit because this is in every damn thing. Swiss goddammit Miss. You see? No more hot chocolate for anybody. You're over it. Condiments, Del Monte, Nabisco, Philip Morris. You can't have ketchup, Heinz, ketchup, regular and no salt. Chili sauce, cocktail sauce, Heinz 57 steak sauce. It's all out. Hellman's, best food. That's going to be your mayonnaise. Real light and low fat. It's out. Throw it out. Hunt's, Conagra, ketchup, regular or no salt. KC Masterpiece, original barbecue sauce, garlic and herb marinade, honey teriyaki marinade. It's out. Throw it out. Kraft, Miracle Whip, mayonnaise, thick and spicy barbecue sauce, char grilled barbecue sauce, honey hickory barbecue sauce. It's all out. Nabisco, Philip Morris, A1 steak sauce, open pit, all the bullshit. I'm linking this, alright? This is all out. Ortega, throw it out. No more salsa for your ass. Pace Picante, goddammit. That's out. Tostitos, salsa. All natural, thick and chunky, roasted garlic and restaurant style. Cookies, Animal crackers, ginger snaps, fig bars, oatmeal, sugar-free duplex. All this bullshit, it's out. Famous Amos has got to goddamn it go. You see what I'm saying? Look. You feel me? That's out. Frukies. You shouldn't eat no shit by that name any goddamn way. I'm over it. But this is all out. Throw it out. Go in your kitchen and throw the shit out. The goddamn it Keebler. I didn't like the elf to begin with. I'm over it. All this is out. You see what I'm saying? All of this. More Nabisco, Oreos, Chips Ahoy, goddammit. Fig Newtons, Lorna Doones, which I loved me some Lorna Doones, but not no more. Nutter Butter. Nutter Butter Peanut Butter Sandwich Cookie. Those were some of my favorite as a kid. No more, goddammit. all this is out. Nilla wafers. You know what I'm saying? All of this is out. Pepperidge, goddammit, Farms. The Milano. You see what I'm saying? The mint Milano and all of it. It's all out. Throw it out. Some ginger mint, raspberry chantilly or some bullshit. I don't know. Sesame Street, Keebler. Throw it out. Snackwells. Get rid of it. Now your crackers. Keebler, goddammit. Townhouse. Weedables and all the bullshit. More Nabisco. Ritz. Wheatworth. Triscuits. Waverly. You know what I'm saying? All this has got to go. Unless you want to end up in the goddamn hospital early and an early grave. Pepperidge, goddammit, Farms. Gotta go. Red Oval Farms, Nabisco, Stone Wheat, Crispin Light Wheat, Sunshine, gotta go. Cheez-Its, you see what I'm saying? Original and reduced fat. Frozen dinners, which you should never be eating a goddamn frozen dinner. Pot pies, all varieties from Banquet. Salisbury goddamn steak, chicken nugget meal, pepperoni pizza meal. You don't want that anyway because it's pork. Budget goddammit gourmet, Heinz, roast beef supreme, beef stroganoff, 3 cheese lasagna. You supposed to, all this shit is out. Green goddammit giant, rice pilaf with chicken flavored sauce. All of this is out. Beef noodles, sweet and sour, mushroom wine chicken, healthy choice. Ooh, there's a deceptive label. Stuffed pasta shells, chicken Parmigiana. Anyways, country bread chicken. Alright, all this bullshit is out from Healthy Choice. Gotta go. Lemon pepper fish. Gotta go. Shrimp and vegetable, macaroni and cheese. Kids goddammit cuisine. Con agra. Chicken nugget meal. Fried chicken. Taco roll up. You know what I'm saying? All this is out. Lean goddammit cuisine. Stouffer's and Nestle. Skillet sensations. Chicken and vegetables. Broccoli beef. Home style beef. All this is out. Hearty portions, this is more of them. Okay, cafe classics, there's a lot of them there. But anyways, all of your lean cuisine shit has got to go because you will not be lean. You will be a fat walrus and you will have cancer and God knows what else. Marie goddammit Calendar, her ass, chicken pot pie, all of her shit has got to go. Orida frozen potatoes, throw it out. Anything. Rosetto frozen pasta, Rosetto. Anyways, gotta go. Throw it out. Stouffer's, get rid of it. All of it. Swanson, goddammit. All of it. Their meatloaf, their fish, their Salisbury steak, their chicken, their Hungry Man, roast chicken, fisherman's platter, and the goddammit pork rib. Voila. Bird's Eye. AgriLink Foods. Chicken Voila, Alfredo, chicken Voila garlic, all this bullshit's gotta go. Wait, goddammit, watchers. Smart Ones, Fiesta chicken, basil chicken, ravioli, and all the bullshit gotta go. Energy drinks and drinks. Huh? Power bars. Oh, you'll have power. Huh? Oatmeal raisin, apple cinnamon, peanut butter, vanilla crisp, all the bullshit. This is all of your energy bars and drinks. Drink mixes, creamy milk chocolate, classic, or Carnation instant breakfast, I should specify it. Drink mixes, the Carnation instant breakfast. All this has gotta go, goddamn it, go. Alright, heat and serve meals. Chef Boyardee, goddammit, D. Alright, beefaroni, macaroni and cheese, mini ravioli, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Get that shit out of there, expedite. Denti, goddammit, more. Beef stew, turkey stew, all the shit. Kids Kitchen, get rid of it. Franco-American, Campbell's, SpaghettiOs, mini ravioli, Power Rangers, goddammit, pasta, get rid of that shit. Meat and dairy alternatives. Loma Linda, Worthington, and Kellogg. Meatless chick nuggets. Morningstar, Worthington, Kellogg's. Harvest Burger, all this has got to go. Natural Touch, Worthington Kellogg, gotta go. Worthington Kellogg. All that's got dairy alternatives. NutriBlend soy beverage, Best Foods. All of this has got to go. Every goddamn flavor. What does it say? A company letter states that they are in the process of converting to non-genetically modified proteins in all products. Well, that's not good enough. Betty goddammit Crocker, her ass, she's got to go. You see what I'm saying? All of this got to go. Betty Crocker, and it's also under General Mills, got to go, which we know all their cereals are out as well. Nor Best Foods, this has got to go. All this, throw it out, everybody. You're going to have to make different food choices, damn it. Bernays, or Bearnaise, I don't know who it is. Anyways, throw the shit out. Pasta, goddammit, sauce. Packets. That's the sauce packets. Alfredo. 4 cheese, carbonara, pesto, and garlic herb. Lipton, these are also more sauce packets, I presume. Rice and sauce, yeah, cheddar, broccoli, beef flavor, Spanish, all the shit. All this has got to go. Near East Quaker, throw it out. Pasta, goddammit, Roni, get rid of it. Rice, goddammit, Roni, get rid of it. Uncle, goddammit, Ben, throw him out. Frozen pizza. Celeste, well, there you go. Supreme pepperoni, vegetable, 4 cheese deluxe, and goddammit cheese. Tomb, goddammit, Stone, throw it out. Tostino, throw it out. Act 2 microwave popcorn, get rid of it. Frito, goddammit, Lay from PepsiCo, throw it out. Your Cheetos, your Doritos, your Ruffles potato chips, your Lay's potato chips, your rolled golden pretzels, and Cracker Jack popcorn, get rid of it. Healthy Choice microwave popcorn, throw the shit out. Mother's corn cakes, throw it out. Orville, goddammit, Redenbacher, throw him out. Pop Secret, not such a secret anymore, throw the shit out. Pringles, throw them all out. By the way, Pringles are not even real potatoes, everybody. I don't know if you even know that. I saw a documentary on YouTube even. It's not even a potato. The Pringles potato chip is not a potato. I'm over it. Pringles, Procter & Gamble, throw every one of these bitches out. Anything from Pringle or Procter & Gamble, throw it out. Soda and juice drinks. You would think you would be safe, but alas, you are not. Throw out the Coca-Cola, the Sprite, the Cherry Coke, the Bark Root Beer, the Minute Maid Orange, the Minute Maid Grape, Surge, Ultra, PepsiCo, Pepsi Slice, Wild Cherry Pepsi, Mug Root Beer, Mountain Goddammit Dew, Cadbury Schweppes, 7-Up, Dr. Pepper, A&W Root Beer, Sunkist Orange, Schweppes Goddammit Ginger Ale. I'm over it. Capri goddammit Sun. I hate the fucking straws they give for the kids to put in the bitch anyway. Throw that out. All Capri Sun must go. Fruitopia, Coca-Cola, Great Beyond, all these flavors gotta go. Fruit Works, throw it out. Gator goddammit Raid, Lemon Lime, Orange, Fruit Punch, Fierce Grape, and all the shit. Hawaiian goddammit Punch, Procter & Gamble, throw it out. High goddammit C, Pink Lemonade, and all the other flavors, throw it out. Kool-Aid, Kraft, and Philip Morris, throw it out. Squeeze It, throw the shit out. Sunny goddammit Delight, not such a delight after this. Tropicana Twisters, untwist your ass from Tropicana. V goddammit 8, Strawberry Kiwi and Strawberry Banana, all the goddammit V8 Campbell's gotta go. V8 tomato juices, all varieties. Soup from Campbell's, all soup, throw it out. Healthy Choice, not so healthy, throw it out. Pepperidge goddammit Farms, throw it out. Corn chowder, lobster bisque, chicken and wild rice, all the shit. Progresso, oh, they've progressed your ass to cancer. You understand what I'm saying? Throw it out. Tomatoes and sauces. Del Monte, tomato sauce, throw it out. That makes me sick because I use Del Monte tomato paste, especially when I make my homemade spaghetti sauce. Throw the shit out. Five Brothers pasta sauces, well, you'll have 5 cancers in your ass. Healthy Choice pasta, get rid of it. Hunt's, traditional spaghetti sauce, 4-cheese spaghetti sauce, all this shit, get rid of it. Prego pasta sauce, throw it out. I never use anybody else's tomato sauce anyways. Like pasta sauce, like I make my own. Give me a break. Ragademic goo, throw the bitch out. You understand what I'm saying? I will link this, everybody. But as you can see, this list is very voluminous and most inclusive. You are going to go through this list if you have half a brain, if you care about your own life, and you will start getting rid of this shit. And you will start finding other alternatives. You understand? Because even the healthiest, the most health conscious person who thinks that they only buy the good stuff and they're, you know, and they're eating healthy and they're just doing it all right and they're going to the gym and they're doing it all and they have their constant water bottle with them all, their ass is in danger. You understand? And we know they've been doing this shit for at least the last 20 years. This we know. It's gotta go. It's gotta go. And it is a crime. The whole thing is a crime. But the damn baby food formulas and stuff, come on. 'Cause why? It's profits over people. They don't give a damn about you. They don't. The biggest mistake you could think or make is to think that they give a shit about you. Or the FDA is just out there to protect you and hold back. Nah. Profits over people. Money talks, your ass walks. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This should be like the story that is just being round the clock on every damn channel on TV, including goddamn cable. Because this is what you put in your mouth. This is what you put in your body. You understand? And those same people who are out there that are so fucking against the Affordable Care Act, which they call Obamacare, their bitch asses are the main ones that are dying of every fucking cancer known to humanity because of this shit. But they so concerned about whether or not your black ass got health care or not. Because that's why they're really pissed off about it. Because in their mind, if Obama's doing it, that means black people are going to have health care. And they're against it. Why? Because they don't give a shit about black life. Let us make sure we get that in this piece as well. But you have got to take control of your own life, everybody. You have to establish a velvet rope in front of you, and nobody gets past that rope unless you goddammit say so. Nobody or nothing. You must be the captain of your ship, and this is one of the ways that you do it. Now, while this list is very daunting, there are many other choices. You understand? At least for now. It's your job to get about the business of identifying those other choices and executing as such. We got a couple more videos and we'll be out.
In 1965, Dow AgroSciences bought a pesticide called chlorpyrifos. It brought it to the market. The pesticide became widely used on crops all over the world due to how effective it was at killing mosquitoes, ants, roaches, and other insects that pose a threat to the global food supply. 52 years after it was first introduced, the pesticide is used in more than 100 countries around the globe on more than 50 different kinds of commercial crops. If you live in the United States and you've eaten apples, lettuce, peaches, oranges, bananas, or potatoes in the last 50 years, chances are you've been eating food that's been sprayed with this chemical. The EPA estimated that between 1987 and 1998, about 21 million pounds of this pesticide were used annually in the U.S. By 2007, chlorpyrifos was the most commonly used organophosphate pesticide in the United States, with an estimated 8 to 11 million pounds, 8 to 11 million pounds applied to our food in non-residential turf like golf courses. Like most pesticides, it's a neurotoxin that disrupts the normal function of the nervous system in insects, leading to death. But as years of scientific research is now telling us, this dangerous pesticide can also act as a neurotoxin in human beings. Even though Dow Chemical claims, of course, that their pesticide is completely harmless to human beings at normal doses, we've heard that before, science tells us that exposure can cause very serious and very permanent damage to the nervous system of people who are exposed. Experimental animal studies suggest that infants and children are more susceptible than adults to the effects of low exposure because they have a decreased capacity to detoxify and to metabolize this chemical. This results in disruption in the nervous system and developmental process. Exposure by pregnant women or infants can lead to impaired brain development, resulting in a lifetime of hardships.
Think about it.
These are
Hear that
developmental
again.
injuries that can't brain development, resulting in a life in the nervous system and developmental process. Exposure by pregnant women or infants can lead to impaired brain development,
infants.
Exposure by pregnant women or infants can lead to impaired brain development, resulting in a lifetime of hardships.
So even if your child isn't autistic, they just walk around, they just dumb and just out of it. You see what I'm saying? I can't. Wait, where am I?
These are developmental injuries that can't be overcome or corrected. Once brain development is impaired, the damage is permanent. Among adults, applicators of pesticide on farms were noted to have a far higher incidence of lung cancer than the general population, as well as among the population of farmers that use other forms of pest control. They're also far more likely to develop a condition called wheeze, which occurs when the airways become restricted after repeated long-term exposure to even allegedly safe levels of this pesticide. There really might not be safe levels.
In the United States, copyright law allows for the fair use of copyright.
Man. You know, because what they've done is they sucked up all the land and they pay farmers not to grow food in many cases. You understand? And then the shit that you do grow, they control it and they poison it. You know, that's kind of the you know, I can't, dude. Like I say, this is the most diabolical fucking place you could live on earth. It just is. It just is. Now, this one you need to watch carefully as well, because this is about this aspartame bullshit, which is also another GMO. Hear this now.
Thousands of popular diet and sugar-free foods and beverages contain an artificial sweetener that researchers say may cause cancer. The ingredient is aspartame, and it is by far the most dangerous substance on the market that is added to our foods. Aspartame is an artificial sweetener found in thousands of products worldwide, and chances are you are consuming it. It's added to sugar-free gum, juice beverages, tabletop sweeteners like Equal and NutraSweet. It's in cereals, soft drinks, yogurt, breath mints, multivitamins, wine coolers, and even over-the-counter. And chances are you are consuming it.
Hear this now. Hear this, everybody. This is how you can be vigilant. Hear this.
It's added to sugar-free gum, juice beverages, tabletop sweeteners like Equal and NutraSweet. It's in cereals, soft drinks, yogurt, breath mints, multivitamins, wine coolers, and even over-the-counter medicines. The toxic long-term effects of aspartame are often dismissed as a hoax by the sweetener industry. However, numerous independent controlled studies using human subjects have concluded that aspartame is deadly. Now, there's a number of studies that claim that aspartame is completely safe to consume, but the vast majority of those studies were conducted by, well, you guessed it, the aspartame industry. In fact, groups like Monsanto, J.D. Searle, and ILSI concluded that aspartame posed no health risk. But that's about as credible as Marlboro, Camel, and Winston, dismissing the link between cigarette smoking and cancer.
Tastes good like a cigarette should.
Have you heard of aspartame?
Yes, I've heard of it before.
Have you heard good things or bad things?
I hear mostly bad things about it.
What kind of bad things?
Just like it's an artificial sweetener and it's bad for your health and you should try to stay away.
I've heard it's an artificial sweetener and I'm guilty of drinking beverages sweetened with it. However, it degenerates and it does harmful things.
What do you think about aspartame?
I don't like it. It gives me headaches.
They did studies on rats. It supposedly causes cancer.
Even Fox News recently reported in 2005 that artificial sweeteners had been linked to a wide range of cancers after studying involving rats. So these rats actually had tumors the size of golf balls.
See? But that's what I was saying also. I was kind of touching on earlier. You know what I'm saying? Like, just eat real sugar. You understand? Forget all this. I can't have sugar. Well, then, goddammit, don't have sugar then. But you're not going to have no substitute, because like there is no substitute for the perfection of the divine. That's what you got to get in your mind. You cannot recreate anything that Allah has created. You can't. That is not in the realm of the human ability. So damn it, just have sugar.
Also, does that concern you when you hear stuff like that?
Greatly, yes. And the FDA is supposed to be protecting us from things like cancer, not giving it to us and telling us it's safe.
You cannot go to the grocery store now and buy any type of even regular sugar gum that hasn't had aspartame added to it. In the 1970s, Searle tried to get it approved and they couldn't. It took them 3 separate times because in their own studies with monkeys, large portions of them that were fed it died and contracted cancer. Now we have mainstream news articles, and the EU has done a major study finding lower birth weights, early birth, and yes, miscarriages from women that drink aspartame-laden soft drinks like Coke Zero.
Do you think that aspartame should be on the market today?
No,
Why not?
because it hasn't been demonstrated to be safe.
The FDA looked at the research and in 1975 put aspartame's approval on hold. It set up an independent panel of doctors to study aspartame. In 1980, that public board of inquiry unanimously ruled aspartame should not go on the market. Edith was drinking a cup of low-calorie hot chocolate that night. Aspartame made it sweet. And Johnson says aspartame made her sick.
Now you're getting a double dose there. Because the aspartame is some bullshit, and we already saw from our list that you're not having no more hot chocolate, no way. You can't. You see? Let's go back just a skosh.
Of low-calorie hot chocolate that night. Aspartame made it sweet. And Johnson says aspartame made her sick.
All of a sudden, I couldn't see. My eyes went out of focus, and it was like my vision became quite blurred.
And you think it's because of aspartame?
I think it's very deliberately because of aspartame, yes.
It was terrifying. Kate Randall thought she was going crazy.
I started popping in my hands and twitching in my feet, my legs, my knees, my upper legs, and shoulders and arms and everywhere.
Many of these individuals who have been aspartame reactors have tested themselves 5, 10, 20 times. Every time getting the same response, and then they realized that this was a legitimate cause and effect relationship.
What is aspartame? It is the fecal matter of the E. coli bacteria. They took it and genetically engineered it. They can feed it toxic waste, and then it defecates aspartame.
Huh? Let's hear that shit again.
Took it and genetically engineered it. They can
that this was a legitimate cause and effect relationship.
What is aspartame? It is the fecal matter of the E. coli bacteria. They took it and genetically engineered it. They can feed it toxic waste, and then it defecates aspartame. And it has so many bad health effects, it's just unspeakable.
How do you think a product like that was managed to be approved by the FDA?
Oh, I think there's loopholes to everything.
I say shut the FDA down, shut down any government agency that's not doing its job.
Would you think that possibly the FDA is corrupt?
I'm going to go ahead and say no. I trust
Dumb bitch.
the FDA with
I'm going to
my
go ahead and
health.
say now. No, and your bitch ass will be laying up in the cancer ward in about a month. Understand. Hear that.
I trust the FDA with my health.
Do you think there's a chance the FDA could be corrupt?
About as big a chance as any other part of our government.
Now, the FDA approval of aspartame was highly contested and subject to multiple congressional hearings and scientific criticism. In fact, aspartame was continuously rejected by the FDA for over 15 years until it was finally approved in 1981.
Which means they got somebody in there, grease their asshole with some money, and suddenly it's approved. You see, profits over people. Write that down.
Since that time, the FDA has published a list of 92 symptoms of aspartame.
92 symptoms, everybody, and they're scrolling some of them here. Huh?
Published a list of...
Wait, I want to go back so we can see some of the list. Damn it.
Rejected by the FDA for over 15 years until it was finally approved in 1981.
Anxiety attack, arthritis, asthma, asthmatic reactions, bloating, edema, fluid retention, blood sugar control problems, brain cancer, breathing difficulties, burning eyes and throat, burning urination, can't think straight. See what I'm saying? That's why half the fucking population, I always tell you, America's the dumbest fucking people on earth, and here's proof of it there even. It can't think straight, chest pains, chronic cough, chronic fatigue, confusion, death, goddammit, depression, diarrhea, dizziness, excess thirst,
Since
or
that
hunger,
time,
which means you're turning into a fat beast because you're eating all the time.
The FDA
Fatigue,
has published a...
feel unreal. That's interesting. Feel unreal. Flushing of the face, hair, goddammit, loss, and baldness or thinning of the hair. Headache, migraines, dizziness, hearing loss.
List of 92 symptoms of aspartame poisoning, which include
heart palpitation, hives, hypertension, impotency and sexual problems, inability to concentrate, infection, susceptibility, insomnia, irritability, itching, joint pains. You're a problem.
Includes headaches, vision loss, including blindness, seizures, neurological problems, cardiovascular problems, and death. The FDA even admits adverse reactions to aspartame comprise about 80% of consumer complaints it receives each year. Yet the dangerous substance remains on the market and is consumed by millions of people every single day. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News.
You see? People are at the doctor, and there they are at the emergency room, and oh my God, I need a pill, and I have this, and I have to take blood pressure medication, I have to do this, and I can't lose weight, and I'm doing this, and I need Viagra, and I'm down the list. It's because daily you are putting shit into your face that is killing you. And they know it, and they're okay with it, because what? Profits over goddammit people. Period. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, this will be our last and final clip, and it's the longest, I think, of the clips as well. But let us go through this now.
In the U.S., farmers, knowing their crops can tolerate Roundup, have tripled the use of the herbicide, according to the U.S.-based Pesticides Action Network.
If you take plants and make them resistant to an herbicide, what does that mean? It means, hey, no problem. You can put herbicide all over the place, and it won't kill the plant.
But I also want to say this real quick too, because you can also make the link here. If you're making a plant resistant to herbicides, then by default, this is why we're seeing more and more people becoming resistant to antibiotics. and things like that. You see? We can draw a direct line between those two. We don't have to be scientists. We can make that inference on our own. This is very dangerous. This is very dangerous.
Plants and make them resistant to an herbicide, what does that mean? It means, hey, no problem. You can put herbicide all over the place and it won't kill the plant. And so, of course, it's associated with greater herbicide use.
We're talking ultimately about more chemicals being used. We're talking about more native forests being destroyed in order to grow plantations. And we're talking about this completely uncontrollable threat of pollen drift.
We should remember that Monsanto, who defended the...
Monsanto should not have to vouchsafe the safety of biotech food. Our interest is in selling as much of it as possible. Assuring its safety is the FDA's job. Phil fucking Angel, quoted in Playing God in the Garden, New York Times, 10/25/98. It's not our responsibility. We could put out poison. You're supposed to say if it's safe or not.
Global threat of pollen drift.
We should remember that Monsanto, who defended the use of DDT, is currently the world's leading promoter of genetically engineered crops. They now claim that Roundup is safe. However, a study of farmers exposed to glyphosate showed they have an increased risk of
miscarriages, premature birth, cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Premature births, and the cancer, non-Hodgkin's.
And what did our brother have in that first article that I opened up with? Non-Hodgkin's, goddammit, lymphoma.
Lymphoma. Glyphosate also damages soil and beneficial fungi and bacteria, and it seeps into running water and can contaminate groundwater. The Danish government banned Roundup because glyphosate was found in that country's drinking water.
We have evidence of glyphosate remaining.
So we also saw the explosion of bottled water over probably about the same amount of time as we've been seeing that this shit has been around. Suddenly there's this onslaught. Now everything is bottled water. Everything is bottled water. You watch anything on television, you see anything. Everybody's got a bottle of water. A bottle of water. A bottle of fucking water. You see? It's commonplace now. We don't even think about it. You want to hide something? Put it right out in the open. No need to find those pesky hiding places. Who has time for that? I'm busy. I'm touring. I have time. Shit. Just put the shit out in the open. Nobody will see it. You see what I'm saying? And because they're on aspartame and all the other bullshit, the American public is so dumb they won't even notice it. It's a win-win for me. You see? Oh my God, I can't. By the way, in some of the voluminous stuff that I've been watching on Africa, do you understand? I saw this one brother. Like, in Africa, you pretty much just put shit in the ground, it grows. Like, you don't need to do shit. Like, I'm not making that up. Just put it in the ground, it grows. Done. And he's got trees that are yielding more than once a year. More than once, they're yielding fruit. This is how fertile the land is. You see, when you have shit that's not been touched by this devil, and you leave it as the divine has perfected it, you get nothing but perfection and good things for your life and your health and your well-being. You see, your sense of peace and consciousness and all those things, your ability to learn, all these things are affected by your diet and what you put in your damn face. Let's go on. Where was I? We'll go back a skosh.
Roundup is safe. However, a study of farmers exposed to glyphosate showed they have an increased risk of miscarriages, premature births, and the cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Glyphosate also damages soil and beneficial fungi and bacteria, and it seeps into running water and can contaminate groundwater. The Danish government banned Roundup because glyphosate was found in that country's drinking water.
We have evidence of glyphosate remaining active and lethal for anywhere from 7 to 8 months to well over a year in certain soil systems. And this is certainly something that we do not need to introduce in any way, shape, or form into environments, whether it's on agricultural crops or, in this case, plantations and former native forests that were converted into plantations.
Lignin is the fiber that gives rigidity to the tree, but it's very hard and expensive to remove for the pulp and paper industry.
And the third trait that the technology is focusing on here is the gene that expresses a reduced lignin level. Lignin is the substance in a tree or in other plant life that gives that particular organism strength and rigidity. It appears in every cell. It's what allows an organism, a tree in this case, to grow up straight and strong and to withstand wind or storms or insect or even disease.
Of course, trees with less lignin have less structural integrity.
Look.
They're more susceptible to disease. They're more susceptible to insect damage.
The paper industry claims reducing lignin from trees means less chemicals will be used during paper processing.
Look.
However, lignin reduction increases a tree's susceptibility to insects, leading to increased pesticide use. These trees are also more susceptible to disease and animal browsing, as well as environmental stresses like wind that will kill many of these trees.
But you gotta go and get your damn emissions shit done every goddamn year or whatever it is. You see? Oh, let's go green. And ooh, watch out for those greenhouse emissions and all. But this is the shit. They killing you at the source. From hand to mouth, they're killing you. And they're killing the ecology. Fucking up the entire ecosystem of the planet. With this bullshit. You should be furious over this. Furious. No other reaction is acceptable.
Lignin reduction increases a tree's susceptibility to insects, leading to increased pesticide use. These trees are also more susceptible to disease and animal browsing, as well as environmental stresses like wind that will kill many of these trees. In addition, dead, low lignin trees rot more quickly, releasing carbon dioxide, a major greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. And once more, there is no way to predict what the long-term consequences will be if this technology is released into nature.
The best thing for the environment is to not make paper out of tree pulp to start with. There are agricultural wastes, there are all sorts of recycled materials that can be used to make paper. The whole idea of using living trees and cutting them down to grind up into pulp to make paper is a completely absurd and incredibly wasteful process from the word go. If the paper industry cared one iota about the environment, they wouldn't be investing in genetic engineering trees, they would be investigating alternatives to wood fiber as a source of paper pulp.
There are, of course, alternatives out there, alternative fibers, hemp, canaf, agricultural waste, and beyond that, there's also so much waste just within the waste stream itself that it's estimated that like about 1 in 10 of the trees cut off our national forests would basically go directly into a landfill. So we're talking about a massive amount of waste that if we could just reduce the amount of waste that we're using within our current consumption levels, we could probably eliminate the need for genetically engineered trees. We could eliminate the need for any forest-based paper products at all.
You see, it becomes impossible to be healthy in this environment. And this is one of the things that I'm inferring when I say that you're living in an illusion in this society. Everything about it is an illusion. This is not a real human experience, everybody. This is not the definition of what it is to be born and live on this planet. Everything about this bitch is an illusion. Everything. And I'm so aware of that. And you got to get about the business of shutting yourself off from the fantasy of it all. And check yourself and your understanding to make sure that you're constantly dealing in reality, longing for it, seeking it. You understand? This is one of the reasons why I know I must move to Africa. Because this is not a real human experience here. This is an illusion. Our whole understanding of existence, hear me, our whole understanding of existence is absolutely wrong. And it affects how we interact with each other, how we perceive the world as a creature living on it, all these things. Even down, as we see in this piece, to the very food that you eat. Everything is an illusion. I'm furious. I am burnt. Do you understand me?
Pollen can blow over many, many miles. And
he says pollen can blow over many, many miles. I just wanted to...
One of the greatest threats is the blowing of genetically engineered pollen onto native lands and forests.
See?
Native trees will be contaminated and will continue to contaminate more trees in an endless cycle. With trees capable of spreading their pollen over hundreds of miles, it wouldn't take long for a genetically engineered tree in a test plot in Michigan, for example, to contaminate all of North America. Sterility, or terminator technology, is industry's solution to this problem. But will it work?
Now, the fourth trait that industry is aggressively pursuing here is the sterility gene. Industry is hoping that it can maintain a sterile gene in all of these organisms, trees and as well agricultural crops, to keep cross-pollination from happening. However, we do know that industry is not going to guarantee sterility 100% of the time. They have said so.
The terminator gene produces a toxin that prevents the plant, the seeds coming from that plant, being viable. So that you can't plant the soybean seeds if they had a terminator gene implanted in them. You can't replant that seed.
Right, it won't grow. Like, one of the things that I love is basil. Like, anybody that knows me intimately will tell you, I will fight you over basil. Like, you can never have too much basil. You can't. And they have in the supermarkets now, it used to just be the basil in the container. But now they have it where, I forget the company now, but it's in a thing with the roots and everything, and you can actually take it home and put it in water, and that basil keeps for like weeks. I'm guilty of using that. Never again. But the point he's making there is, like, you can't even, like, you know, you could used to just take seeds from something and, ooh, I'm going to save the seeds from this and plant them. You more likely ain't going to get shit now. Because why? It has a terminator gene in it. The white man is the devil, everybody. Because you have to be a devil to do this. We're not going to talk about demonic entities in fluffy terms. We're not doing that. We don't deal in fantasy on this channel and unreality. Our only pursuit, hear this again for the millionth time, our only pursuit is the truth and righteousness. That's it. We're not interested in rumor, conjecture, falsehoods, and fantasy. We're not interested in that. We're not interested. And as I always tell you, we take truth from no matter what the source. We don't care. If it's truth, we take that. And you live by that in your own personal life. With everything. Damn it.
The Terminator gene produces a toxin that prevents the plant, the seeds coming from that plant, being viable. So that you can't plant the soybean seeds if they had a Terminator gene implanted in them. You can't replant that seed. Now, you can take that a step further. Now we're consuming that seed that can't be replanted. So what's happened to it nutritionally? And how's that toxin that, it's a marvel of science that they could do that.
I would add, seedless watermelons, huh? Seedless oranges. How you gonna have something in your hand that didn't come from a seed, that don't have seeds? This is a problem. A problem. Because what? The American public's also fat and lazy. Oh, who has time for those pesky watermelon seeds? I can't.
But their knowledge is way ahead of their wisdom here, because now we're consuming that product, and it's potentially terminating us in some subtle way that can't be told for 10 or 20 years.
Oh my God, I love squirrels. They're the cutest.
Plans to develop and manufacture sterile trees are already underway. In reality, this is a lose-lose proposition.
Wait, hear that?
It's almost impossible to induce.
And it's potentially terminating us in some subtle way that can't be told for 10 or 20 years.
Plans to develop and manufacture sterile trees.
Plans to manufacture and develop sterile trees. They want to play God. They want to play God. They think they are God. That's why they told you God had a son, or that he came personally as a man, and oh my God, it looks just like them. And then he said, and he created you in his own image. No, the fuck God didn't. Astaghfirullah. 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 You understand? You're not created in God's image. Damn it. God created you in an image he chose for you. Period. God does not have an image. Let us be clear about that. Put that down.
Are already underway.
Already underway.
In reality, this is a lose-lose proposition. It's almost impossible to induce 100% sterility. The urge to reproduce is powerful and deep.
Just like they harvesting your damn organs and your blood, trying to live forever, again trying to play God. Do you understand? And know this. I was watching the last couple of days in my free time. I've been watching live autopsies. These are very graphic videos. But I'm not squeamish for stuff like that. Like I'm into that. Like that doesn't bother me. You know, when you see them cutting somebody a body open and literally pulling, like one person was holding the person under the chin so the other person could pull. They cut from from your throat, and they were pulling out all of that. You saw the lungs and everything, and the person was pulling with all their force on the other end. But why I mention this is because, do you understand, as Muslims, we don't do no damn autopsy. And as I was watching these videos, I was reminding myself and re-questioning, why do you need to autopsy a fucking body? Now, I can allow that someone didn't die of natural causes. They were murdered or they were poisoned. You said something else happened. I can understand getting to the root of that to determine cause of death. I still don't like it, but at least I could intellectualize that. But old lady dies. Everybody knows she's been suffering from heart failure for the last many years of her life. Finally she croaks and dies. No need for an autopsy on grandma. No need. There's no need. And taking organs out to weigh them, and no, you don't need to do that. We don't need that. But there's a whole industry of autopsy. Muslims do not autopsy. We don't do that. We don't mark our bodies permanently. We don't pierce our body. This is the vessel. We don't poison our body either with impurities and things that are forbidden. This is the vessel that encapsulates your soul, your being, and you are to go back to the Maker the way He sent you. Period. Let's go back for context.
The urge to reproduce is powerful and deep.
Martha Crouch, who's a plant geneticist at Indiana University, who did some of the basic science upon which the Terminator technology, as it's called, is based, says that this is a technology that can never be reliable, and that even a small amount of slippage in the reliability of these sterility technologies can actually spread sterility to other plant varieties in the case of food crops and into our native forests.
And oh my God, if the food is sterile, what do you think is going to happen to you? Oh my God. And by the way, they didn't mention it in that sort of excerpt from the documentary where the British guy was speaking. But I need to also say to you that there also was implications not only for the prostate for men, but also sterility. So they outlined two cases. You have one where the female is fertile, but the man is basically shooting blanks. Then they outline where the female is now fucked up, and the dude is shooting, his sperm is proper, but when it hits the woman, it's destroyed. So suddenly, we've been trying, and we've been trying, and we're not able to have a baby yet, but we're trying, and we're thinking of adoption. All directly tied to this bullshit. London Daily Telegraph, 1999. Terminator trees genetically engineered never to flower could ensure a silent spring in the forest for the future. I'm over it. Right now.
What will the genetically engineered tree plantation of the future look like? Well, if we combine all of the impacts of all of the different traits that they're engineering these trees for, what we can imagine is what we'll have is, let's say the plantation is 1,000 acres in size. It's directly adjacent to native wild forests. Because it's been engineered to be insect resistant, there are no insects whatsoever. Because it's been engineered to be herbicide resistant, it's been heavily contaminated with toxic chemicals. There are no understory plants at all. Because they've been engineered to be sterile, a good 95% of the trees have no fruit, no nuts, no seeds, no pollen, no flowers, no food of any kind for wildlife. So there's no wildlife in this plantation. The other 5% that aren't sterile are contaminating the surrounding native forests with these traits. So those forests are now becoming inhospitable to wildlife. In addition, because many of the trees are sterile, the energy that would have gone into reproduction is going into faster growth. Look. So you're ending up with trees that are very rapidly diminishing the groundwater, very rapidly diminishing the soils, and that in only 20 to 30 years we'll have completely desertified the land, which means that now you have 1,000 acres of desert, and now they have to go cut down the native forest next door to have another 1,000 acres to reestablish a new plantation.
Rachel Carson, there was a strange stillness. It was a spring without voices. On the mornings that had once throbbed with the dawn chorus of robins, catbirds, doves, jays, wrens, and scores of other bird voices, there was now no sound. Only silence lay over the woods. Think about it, everybody. Who do you got to be to come up with this? Just ponder that for a moment with me, if you would. Could you just do that? Just isolate now. Who do you have to be to come up with this? Who and what do you have to be to come up with this? I ask you this now. Think about that. You have to be mad, psychotic, demonic, devilish, the highest levels of evil, and sorceress. There are many other cultures, particularly Africa, but also Asian culture as well. There's others. I can't name them all. But that their whole existence is in respect of nature and creation. Do you understand me? Even the natives also from this land. You know, everything is about existing with nature, honoring it, respecting it, allowing it to serve you the way that it was designed. You understand? One example, when they were building the light rail in Kenya, in the design, when they went through areas where they knew animals migrate and things like that, they spent more money to elevate the railing because they can't interfere with nature. Can't do that. Here they put up a fence and they put some shit down to kill the animals, whatever they got to do, and they just bulldoze their ass on forward. Excuse me. Goes back to the illusion. Goes back to illusion. Goes back to illusion. Interfering with divinity. Trying to play God. Disrespecting nature.
There are test plots of genetically engineered trees being grown in about 100, 150 locations all over the United States right now. Many of these are outdoor plots that can affect our own forests, that can affect the integrity of land that people already depend on. There are farmers in northern
Now look, that was a freshwater creek.
United States right now.
The way that Allah has ordained it, you're supposed to be able to just go and dip your cup in that. You're supposed to be able to dip your cup in that and drink until you are content. I ask you now, how many of us would go and just fill up our damn canteen with this water? I ask you this.
Many of these are outdoor plots that can affect our own forests, that can affect the integrity of land that people already depend on. There are farmers in northern Michigan where there's GE tree research going on whose own land is potentially being contaminated already by experimental plots of genetically engineered trees.
Organic papaya growers on the Big Island of Hawaii have lost their certification because of contamination from the genetically engineered plant.
They were organic, but now they've lost their certification. This is September 2004. GMO-free Hawaii. Well, they've lost that. Because this shit is being carried by the elements. Contaminating, infecting the earth.
Your trees.
Organic papaya growers on the Big Island of Hawaii have lost their certification because of contamination from the genetically engineered plants.
The Big Island composite was 80% organic and 20% wild or backyard garden papayas. In this sample, the overall GMO contamination level was about 50%.
50%.
Hi, my name is Toy. I've been a Big Island farmer, organic farmer, for over 6 years. My family farm recently found out we had GMO contamination on our 170 tree papaya orchard. Test results showed no GMO trees. Oh, what's going on here? However, the seeds inside the papaya fruit tested positive for GMO contamination.
Boom.
Somehow, GMO airborne pollen had contaminated the papaya seed in the fruit on these non-GMO trees. GMO pollen from an unknown airborne source has ruined our entire papaya crop. Because of my integrity as an organic farmer, I had no choice but to cut down all 170 trees. That's 170 trees. We lost, number one, our own seed stock, and number two, thousands of dollars in papaya sales.
In my opinion, we have not studied these things carefully enough before release, especially to the open field. And after today's finding about how widespread these things are, it just raises my concern that much more. When we make a mistake medically, we recall the product. Can you recall this? Thank you.
That's a very good question.
The spread of genetic material.
Can you recall this? It's not, oh look, we found this E. coli in spinach. Don't eat lot number such and such. You can't recall this. They have unleashed terror. Agricultural terror upon the population. Nothing less. And the fucking headquarters of fucking Monsanto should be blown up to fucking dust, and everybody should be fucking put under the jail and then covered over with goddammit cement. It's that serious.
It just raises my concern that much more. When we make a mistake medically, we recall the product. Can you recall this? Thank you.
The spread of genetic material has legal implications for landowners and for public lands.
Monsanto filed 90 fucking lawsuits against farmers. 500 farmers investigated annually. $10 million Monsanto's annual
legal cases
investigating and prosecuting budget
suggest that contaminated trees will become the
plus 75 staff just to come out and get your ass. I hate that they're doing this text and he's talking at the same time, so we're just gonna have to do this a couple times. Let's go back.
When we make a mistake medically, we
first we'll hear him and we'll go back.
Can you recall this?
Or just try and read it.
The spread of genetic material has legal implications for landowners and for public lands. Recent legal cases suggest that contaminated trees will become the property of the corporation that patented their genetically engineered genes.
15,000 recorded judgments granted to this fucking evil ass Monsanto from farmers. Granted, bitches. Granted.
Regardless of whether those trees are on public or private land. A look at what has happened to farmers like Percy Schmeiser offers a preview of what could happen if genetically engineered traits contaminate our forests.
When Monsanto laid the lawsuit against me, They admitted it was a test case, and they wanted to see how far they could exercise through patent law control over a farmer, regardless of how the seed gets into a farmer's field.
This is important. He said they admitted it was a test case. They wanted to see how far patent law would go with this. Hear this. This is so important.
Offers a preview
Percy Schmeiser
of what could happen if genetically engineered traits contaminate our forests.
When Monsanto laid the lawsuit against me, they admitted it was a test case, and they wanted to see how far they could exercise through patent law control over a farmer, regardless of how the seed gets into a farmer's field. And the judge, after 2.5 weeks of trial, what he ruled is what startled property owners and farmers throughout the world when he ruled it does not matter how any of Monsanto's GMO seeds or plants, in this case canola, gets onto a farmer's field.
In this case, canola.
And he went on so far to specify how this could happen. Cross-pollination, direct seed movement, by wind, by birds, by floods, etc.
See, this tells you that judge was paid off. You understand? I'll give you an example. You end up with stolen merchandise, or let's say you're pulled over by the cops, and you are giving somebody a ride, a stranger even, and oh my God, they've got a kilo of cocaine on them. Well, you're able to walk into a court and say, Judge, I had no idea that this person had that on them. I didn't strip search them before they got in my car. And then that person says, I don't know this person either. I am a stranger. They didn't know I had the kilo on me. The judge is going to give you, like, you're not going to be responsible for that. Once you're able to show, like, you had no knowledge. So this is that same issue. It would be the burden, it's always the burden in any lawsuit of the plaintiff has the burden of proof. So unless Monsanto can make a showing of how their shit got into his crop, they can't prevail. Unless you have a judge who's been greased up their asshole with their fucking Monsanto money. That's what you're dealing with. Again, what? Profits over people. Write it. Hear this garbage again.
Property owners and farmers throughout the world, when he ruled it does not matter.
It does not matter, the judge is saying. That we don't care. He's almost admitting, well, it could have been brought by wind, but who cares? What would be right is to say to the fucking Monsanto, look, if you can't find a way to prevent your shit from literally being carried away by the wind, you've got no leg to stand on. Oh, but they're giving him a fat check. I forgot. My bad. I'm sorry. Justice is not the issue here. I forgot about that whole profit thing. Damn it, Jedi. Sit down.
Through patent law, control over a farmer, regardless of how the seed gets into a farmer's field. And the judge, after 2.5 weeks of trial, what he ruled is what startled property owners and farmers throughout the world when he ruled it does not matter how any of Monsanto's GMO seeds or plants, in this case canola, gets onto a farmer's field. And he went on so far.
This is dangerous because we have drones now. They could just send up a baggie of the shit in drones and just disperse it over somebody's crop. Oh, now we own all your shit. This is diabolical. Hear this.
Farmer, regardless of how the seed gets into a farmer's field. And the judge, after 2.5 weeks of trial, what he ruled is what startled property owners and farmers throughout the world when he ruled it does not matter how any of Monsanto's GMO seeds or plants, in this case canola, gets onto a farmer's field. And he went on so far to specify how this could happen. Cross-pollination, direct seed movement, by wind, by birds, by floods, etc. It doesn't matter how it gets there, destroying your crop. All of your crop becomes Monsanto's ownership, and they can lay a lawsuit on top of it against you. Even
Hear
if
that?
the contamination rate, no matter how it gets there, destroying your crop, all of your crop becomes Monsanto's ownership.
All of your crop becomes theirs. This is the stuff that murder is made of. Do you understand me? Somebody's been working their butt off, their blood and sweat to, try and farm their land and you turn a crop and make a profit, and this shit happens? Oh, someone would have to die. It would be the only... there's nothing else.
Seed movement, by wind, by birds, by floods, etc. It doesn't matter how it gets there, destroying your crop, all of your crop becomes Monsanto's ownership, and they can lay a lawsuit on top of it against you. Even if the contamination rate is 1%.
1%.
All your other 99% of your crop goes to Monsanto.
All your other shit goes to them. Think about that.
And that's what startled the world, how farmers could lose their rates overnight. An organic farmer could lose his seeds and his rates overnight and get subject to a lawsuit. What this all means with this patent laws that Monsanto has on life-giving forms such as a gene is that if they're saying that if they put one gene into any life form, a seed or a plant, they have invented that seed or a plant.
See? They're trying to play God. I told you, they've put patents on seeds, everybody. How the fuck you gonna do that? Can I just now go out and get a patent on clouds, and every time it rains you have to pay me? Oh, look, well, it rained on you, so you have to pay me now. I have a patent on rain. I have a patent on rain, bitches. Ooh, was that a lightning strike? I also have a patent on that. You owe me. Because lightning struck your shit. You owe me. My lightning struck your shit. You owe me. This is what we're dealing with. Stop the video when I make shit up. This is what we're dealing with. This is the devil. Pretty soon, they'll be charging you for an apple that you buy. You have to pay a patent fee because there's a seed in it. Oh, well, our seed is in that apple, so we have to have, you see. Oh, my God.
There's patent laws that Monsanto has on life-giving forms such as a gene is that if they're saying that if they put one gene into any life form, a seed or a plant, they have invented that seed or a plant. That means that if a gene gets into any species of trees, the person who has those trees or the government, it no longer belongs to them, it belongs to Monsanto. Because once the gene gets in, they say they have invented that seed, they have invented that plant, they have invented that gene, or that tree, with just one gene in it.
Why hasn't somebody ordered an aerial strike on fucking Monsanto? I'd like to know the answer to that. Maybe we could call up the Joint Chiefs or something and just say, why hasn't there been a strike on their ass? Forget Syria. Why aren't we striking on fucking Monsanto and this bitch? Why? Tell us this now.
Seed or a plant, they have invented that seed or a plant. That means that if a gene gets into any species of trees, the person who has those trees or the government, it no longer belongs to them, it belongs to Monsanto. Because once the gene gets in, they say they have invented that seed, they have invented that plant, they have invented that gene, or that tree, with just one gene in it. And that's how serious this whole issue of GMOs are. It's not only the issue of food and the environment, but it's the whole issue of control of all our natural resources, including seeds and plants.
Mm-hmm.
So the genetic engineering adds a whole new layer to that, where trees will be produced essentially by companies in the lab, be intellectual property, and then could escape onto our public lands. What does that mean? Would a corporation have the right to go onto the public land and say, well, that's my tree, I produced it in my laboratory,
yeah.
I get to cut it down? Does it mean they get to drive a road into the wilderness, or the public has to pay for a road into a wilderness area that's never been logged because some pollen fell into that forest and now a tree has grown up in that forest that was once a national park, perhaps, like Yellowstone or Yosemite? These are huge issues, and this is a public debate that we need to have.
This public debate will need to answer some difficult questions. Can life be owned? If a corporation changes one gene in a tree, does it own that tree and all the trees it contaminates? Is life a commodity? I feel it is very important for scientists to engage in public discussions about the significance and implications of their work, especially in the case of genetic engineering, when we will all be impacted.
When we're talking about the privatization of life itself for private profit, we're talking about a very radical economic, political and social agenda which runs completely counter to the values and worldviews of many Indigenous communities, communities in the South, and frankly most right-thinking people, I think, right around the world, who would see life as being much more than something that can just be bought and sold and manipulated by a few private companies for their own profit.
Genetically engineered trees are being targeted to where labor and land is cheap and the growing seasons long, particularly the global South. Central and South America, Mexico, China, Indonesia, Africa, and New Zealand, as well as the southern United States. These places are already subject to the negative impacts of plantation-style tree farming. Fast-growing GE tree plantations threaten to worsen these problems, using up precious water needed for other crops and livestock.
The water levels are affected because of the eucalyptus. Small streams are disappearing and the soil gets dry and hard. You can see for yourself. Even after it rains, the soil dries up very quickly. Before, it used to retain the water for 10 to 20 days. Not anymore.
Genetically engineered tree plantations threaten to destroy native forests and to displace local farms and sustainable economies. Previously self-sufficient communities will be forced to leave their lands in search of livelihoods elsewhere, while their land becomes the site of plantations, processing plants, and factory-style packaging facilities. Although the land and livelihood of indigenous and rural peoples around the world would be threatened immediately, the long-term effects of genetically engineered trees would eventually be felt by everyone. Beyond providing habitat and food for wildlife, native forests are considered the lungs of the earth. They absorb carbon dioxide, a major greenhouse gas, and produce oxygen. They also filter water and release it into the atmosphere. Disrupting forest ecosystems endangers the health of the planet.
Communities of people that depend on intact native forests for their survival, whether forest-based communities here in North America, or especially in the case of indigenous communities in the global South, the potential pollution and contamination and genetic disruption of native forest ecosystems can be absolutely disastrous for people whose livelihood depends on intact native forests.
There is no serious consideration about what's going to happen to the people who live there, what's going to happen to livelihoods, what's going to happen to the way of managing these ecosystems that has been so important for the world over the last 10,000 years.
Most of our current ideas, especially in a revolutionary area like biotechnology, are going to turn out to be wrong. That's not a denigration or an insult to science. That's the way a science progresses. You make a set of observations, you set up a hypothesis to make sense of them, you carry out an experiment, you get the results, then you say, how well did we do? Chances are you say, oh man, was I wrong? You toss that hypothesis out and set up another one. That's how science progresses. So I want to repeat, in any revolutionary area, and biotechnology is a revolutionary area, most of our current ideas are wrong. Then I ask you, what the hell is the rush to apply these ideas that we're getting. We're still at the bare beginning of understanding of what we're doing. The rush to apply these ideas is absolutely dangerous because we don't have a clue what the long-term impact of our manipulations is going to be. What is needed is the application of the precautionary principle to genetically engineered organisms. The precautionary principle demands convincing evidence of both a need for the product and its safety before acceptance.
That's very important because it goes back to what I said to you earlier. They've sold this this fiction that we have to do something because there won't be enough food for everybody on the earth. And I've already said to you that Allah has provided a overabundance of sustenance for the creatures that He has created for this damn earth. You could eat until your gut busts. This is about money and domination. That's what it's about. Kill off your shit so that we have all the food, so you have to buy food from us. We definitely aren't going to give it to you. Because there's not an ounce of compassion in the heart of this devil. That does not exist in this beast. It's about money and power and being God. It's very important.
Technology.
It's a lose-lose scenario. There's no way of dealing with this unless you stop this technology before it gets out of the laboratory.
It's already out.
I think now is the time to stop this technology before it's too late.
It's too late.
And I think it can be stopped.
This is about the corporate enclosure of life itself, and that is why I think it's so important for people to stand up and resist GE trees. If we want a future on this planet for people, for communities that have nurtured and cherished biodiversity around the world, especially indigenous communities that are being displaced very often by these transnational timber companies, we need to actually be standing up and doing something about this before it is too late.
Consumers can vote on a daily basis for GE-free foods, fruits, nuts, paper products, and...
He's right. That's what I was telling you. You have to start selecting and start not buying the shit. That's what he's saying here. Consumers can vote daily.
Consumers can vote on a daily basis for GE-free foods, fruits, nuts, paper products, and lumber with thoughtful shopping. Consumers can ask where their food products are coming from. Paper and wood products, for example, can be purchased from a known source. We can seek out locally grown organic produce. Ask for organic products at your local grocery store and purchase wood or paper products made from non-genetically engineered trees.
And by the way, the organic crew is just as diabolical and evil as these Monsanto motherfuckers. Because now they want to charge you $100 for a fucking orange. It's organic. Which is just one of those ghost words. I told you we're not going to use ghost words in this fucking, when we communicate. We're not doing that. That means this is what God created and we haven't touched it. So we have to charge you $1 billion for that. But the bullshit that we've wrecked that's going to kill you, we can sell that at an economic price. You see? So we should be infuriated at this term organic. That should send you. And how dare they charge more for that shit.
Shopping. Consumers can ask where their food products are coming from. Paper and wood products, for example, can be purchased from a known source. We can seek out locally grown organic produce. Ask for organic products at your local grocery store and purchase wood or paper products made from non-genetically engineered trees. You can exercise your consumer power every day. Buy organic and urge your friends and family to do the same.
One of the things that's important is that Kinko's, which is a major consumer of paper in the United States, has released their wood endangered forest policy that gives preference to suppliers of paper that don't use genetically engineered trees. This is one of the first of its kind policies, and Kinko's is really setting a higher bar within the industry. These are the kind of policies that we're going to be pushing for from other companies like Home Depot, like all the other logging companies. And this issue will become more and more of an issue. And essentially what we can do is squeeze companies like International Paper and others out of the marketplace so they no longer have large customers like Kinko's and others that they can supply to. This is an economic way of using our power as consumers in our society to make change.
I could not have done this, stood up to them, without financial help and the help, whether by word of mouth or encouragement, if I would have had help from people from all over the world, from every continent. I had that help, and we learned to live off the strength of other people. No one could stand up otherwise to a multi-billion-dollar corporation in court.
Well, first of all, learn the facts. There are many groups that are starting to work in this area. They always need help and volunteers. Work is being done internationally to educate the public about the threats of genetically engineered trees. They are also working to ban the commercial development of genetically engineered trees. All change is local, and you can begin by starting action groups and helping to educate your community. Make sure your community is aware of the dangers of genetic engineering and is armed with the ability to make sound judgments based on unbiased information. Speak with your community, and where possible, with your local or national government to build resistance and stop genetically engineered plants, seeds, and products from entering your community. The rush to apply these ideas is absolutely dangerous because we don't have a clue what the long-term impact of our manipulations is going to be. The environmental health of the planet and the health of our families and communities are in our hands and in the trees.
It just makes you sick. It just makes you sick. This is murder out in the open. Murder out in the open. Your government is killing you and allowing you to be murdered. As I say, I will link that comprehensive list of GMOs, everybody. You also need to read labels when you're in the store to make sure that you're not buying any of those products. You know. I think I said I will link the pork video as well. I think I said that. I'm doing it anyway. But you have to see this as a life and death issue, because it really is. You know, when we saw the InfoWars piece, just the aspartame, all the damn things that were just involved in just that, and that's a GMO. Then add to that the agricultural stuff. You are under assault. Deliberate murder is being perpetrated upon the masses. The entire country should be in the streets over this. Storming shit. Literally. It's one thing you want to start shit and have all these aggressions that you call wars across the earth and installing puppet governments and, you know, doing all these diabolical things. That's just as evil. That's just as evil. We make no distinction. No distinction. But this is more tangible. That's the only difference in the two. This is more tangible than what happens across the ocean. This is on your fucking dinner plate. This is in your lunchbox. This is on your breakfast plate. Do you understand? And you have to make a decision right now, this moment, about what you're going to do for you You don't have tomorrow. You don't have 5 minutes. You don't got an hour. You to make this decision right now. Right now, this moment. This moment, you decide what you're going to do. What are you going to do? And if you make the wrong decision, think how you're going to feel when you're laying in that hospital bed and they've told you you've got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, or you've got some other bullshit, or you've got a brain tumor, or you've got breast cancer, you've got, liver failure, or you've got, whatever. And then your high blood pressure and your diabetes and we could just go down the list. You have to make this decision right now. And it needs to be more than just a decision. It needs to be a commitment. Don't let the pull of the flesh be greater than the importance of your next breath. This is the Jedi.